Chapter 2169. Wild Thunder Eagle. As soon as he appeared, Lin Xian raised his hand and shot out a bolt of lightning. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning streaked across the sky. Its speed was extremely fast as it charged towards Tianfeng. Protect the third prince. Seeing this scene, the surrounding mighty figures roared crazily. The earth element mighty figure even clapped his hands. Mud walls appeared in front of them one after another. The earth walls were extremely thick and emitted a desolate aura as if they had traveled through time and space. In an instant, more than 10 layers of defense appeared around the third prince. However, the wild thunder eagle was too violent. It was like a heavenly blade that instantly shattered 5 layers of defense. However, the wild thunder eagle exhausted its energy at the 9th layer of defense and turned into countless bolts of lightning that scattered in all directions. Seeing this scene, the third prince and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the other party was not heaven-defying enough to break through all the defenses. This was indeed good news for them. Lin Xian's eyes flickered because this was not his strongest attack. It was already very good that it could achieve such an effect. At this moment, a series of exclamations came from afar. It turned out that the third prince's men had also gone to kill the 8th prince. They quickly shattered a few layers of defense and arrived near the 8th prince. Fortunately, Taoist Master Long and the other elite mighty figures were very powerful and blocked this wave of attacks. Both sides had a tacit understanding. They were both going to assassinate the prince directly. Whoever succeeded first would win. Boom! Lin Xian made his move. He waved the demonic sword in his hand and pressed forward like a mountain. At the same time, the Lord of the Underworld also led his men to sneak attack from behind. The terrifying giant sword slashed down and split the void. On the other side, a huge purple ball of light appeared. Boom! In front of him, the earth element mighty figure struck out with both palms. His palms turned into 2 mountains and met the attack. The two collided and made a deafening sound. Boom! The earth element mighty figure was sent flying and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Although his defense was strong, Lin Xian's attack was even more terrifying. He suffered internal injuries with one strike. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian attacked again. The long sword in his hand slashed down quickly, and streaks of sword light pressed down like mountains. Bang! Bang! The Earth-type powerhouse was sent flying, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He was seriously injured. Lin Xian swung his long sword and performed the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. Terrifying chaotic sword Qi slashed at the other almighties. The sword light was like a ferocious dragon and was extremely violent. The surrounding powerful beings all dodged. Boom! A Linglong treasure pagoda descended from the sky and enveloped all of them, forming a powerful defense. Boom! A bronze cauldron appeared once again, forming a second layer of defense. The incomparably terrifying ice walls transformed into numerous ice dragons that coiled around the surroundings. 9 purple shields emitted the aura of thunder and lightning as they floated around the third prince. The third prince had formed an impenetrable defense around him, which was impossible to penetrate. However, the primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword technique was a heaven-class technique, and its power was beyond imagination. With Lin Xian's great dragon sword spirit, the combination of the two could be said to be earth-shattering. Boom! The 9 purple shields instantly broke into 2 halves and fell from the sky. The blue ice dragon let out a wail as its body was pierced by countless sword qi. What? How could he be so strong? Seeing the other party break through 2 layers of defense in an instant, these people were about to go crazy. They could not believe it at all. However, Lin Xian's attack was still ongoing. The Hell's Ice Lotus flew out and blasted the bronze cauldron away. Lin Xian strode over. The surrounding energy shock waves could not cause any harm to him. His current physique was definitely incomparably strong. Buzz! Another chaotic sword light directly sent the last Linglong treasure pagoda flying. Then, Lin Xian charged towards the third prince. Seeing that all of their defenses had been destroyed, the surrounding powerful beings roared angrily. They attacked and counterattacked quickly. The sky was filled with terrifying energy, and a terrifying domain enveloped Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian executed the demigods and semidevils and dodged the attacks with extreme speed, easily dodging the attacks. He appeared on the other side. At this moment, the Lord of the Netherworld had arrived. A huge purple ball of light crushed the surroundings, causing the King Realm powerful beings to resist crazily again. Demon Seal. Lin Xian seized the opportunity and used a killer move of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword to attack the third prince. Oh no! The surrounding powerful beings roared angrily and wanted to counterattack. However, it was too late. The third prince's pupils constricted as he felt a deadly threat. Buzz! In the next moment, he opened his mouth and spat out the flood dragon scissors, which instantly turned into 2 flood dragons. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they collided with the demon seal. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The third prince was pushed back, but he managed to block the demon seal swordplay. Although he managed to block it, the third prince's face was gloomy. This was because it was too dangerous for him. He had never thought that he would have to block it with his own hands. If there were a few more attacks like this, he would not be able to block it. Thinking of this, his eyes turned gloomy as he looked into the distance. Over there, the 8th prince was also waiting and mingling. At this moment, the 8th prince was also in great danger. Therefore, he also took out his ecliptic treasure. The 8th prince's ecliptic treasure was a golden divine sword. At this moment, it was swaying in the wind as if a golden dragon was circling around him, emitting a terrifying power. Whoosh! At this moment, the third prince's pupils constricted as his body suddenly moved to the side. The place where he was originally standing was directly smashed into pieces. The Lord of the Underworld appeared, sneered, and disappeared again. Damn it! Form a formation and seal them! The third prince roared as the dragon energy in his body surged out and poured into the bodies of the 5 kings around him. Then, a mysterious formation appeared. 7 stars battle array. I didn't expect that the third prince would even use this battle array. It seems that he is really anxious. In the Grand Imperial Hall, everyone was discussing. They also realized that the third prince's situation was very bad. That was because Lin Xian's attacks were too powerful and could threaten the third prince's life at any time. As expected, Lin Xian attacked again. He was like a god of war. A casual attack could tear the sky apart, even though his opponent had formed a formation. However, as a formation master, Lin Xian specialized in attacking the flaws and weaknesses of the formation, causing it to be unable to sustain. Damn it! How did he know the flaws of the formation? The third prince was so angry that he flew into a rage. Zixin, hurry up and do it! The third prince shouted. Next to him, a middle-aged woman stood out. The middle-aged woman was dressed in purple and had a beautiful face. When she heard the third prince's words, she took out a purple gourd. She shook it gently. Suddenly, a cloud of purple mist floated out and transformed into a terrifying beast in the air. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, 6 demonic beasts appeared in the void. They were not ordinary beasts, but terrifying monster kings. Each of them was hundreds of feet long and occupied the void. They emitted a monstrous aura. As soon as the 6 monster kings appeared, they directly shattered the void within a radius of 10,000 miles. The terrifying aura made the surrounding kings change their expressions. Chapter 2170. Go! The purple-clothed woman's black hair fluttered behind her as her eyes flickered. She controlled the 6 demon kings and quickly charged over. Brother Lin, don't worry. We have a beast tamer here as well. The eighth prince shouted loudly and wanted to send out his beast tamer. However, Lin Xian said there's no need. Let the beast tamer protect you. I'll deal with these 6 demon kings. At this point, the sharp aura in his eyes erupted once again, and a monstrous sword light swept through heaven and earth. Hearing this, the surrounding King Realm experts were shocked. The purple-clothed woman sneered. You want to fight against all of my demon kings alone? You're overestimating yourself. She was an extremely terrifying beast tamer. The demon kings in her hands were not ordinary. Each of them was abnormally ferocious, far surpassing King Realm experts of the same level. Now that 6 demon kings had appeared together, it was definitely terrifying. Therefore, in the next moment, she attacked. With a wave of her hand, the fiery red bird quickly rushed out. This was a flaming eagle. It was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it spread its wings like a sea of red flames surging from the sky. The terrifying heat wave swept in all directions. Boom! The flaming eagle opened its mouth and spat out a huge fireball that rolled toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian stood in the void like a god, his body releasing terrifying sword intent. Behind him, the dragon's sword domain appeared. Lin Xian activated the dragon's sword soul and charged forward. Boom! Countless sword chi intertwined, and a black phoenix flew out of the dragon sword domain. It spread its wings and covered the 9 heavens. This phoenix was formed by hellfire and sword chi. Under the effect of the dragon's sword soul, it was as if it was possessed by a real divine beast. As soon as it appeared, it let out a long cry and shattered the 9 heavens as it charged forward. Could it be that this kid was also a beast tamer? When everyone saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. They thought that this was a real phoenix, but soon they shook their heads. Impossible! How could there be a real phoenix in the world? This was this kid's divine ability. Heavens! How could this kid have such a terrifying divine ability? They were too shocked. They didn't know that the great dragon sword spirit's offensive saint technique could simulate everything. At this moment, it was displayed by Lin Xian. It was truly terrifying. The 2 giant beasts fought in the sky. Soon, the flaming eagle let out a wail as its body was pierced through by the other's claw. A terrifying, bloody mist appeared. After another 5 moves, the flaming eagle's body was split into 2 halves from the middle. The black phoenix let out a long cry and flapped its wings in the sky. So powerful! While the 3rd prince was astonished, the violet-clothed woman's face darkened. Her opponent had killed one of her demonic kings with a raise of his hand. This made her feel incomparably pained and driven her mad. In the next moment, she urged the 5 demon kings to attack the black phoenix together. Boom! Boom! The void trembled and quickly shattered. The black phoenix was being attacked by the 5 monster kings and was in imminent danger. Seeing this, the people on the 3rd prince's side laughed. They did not believe that the other party could still unleash such a terrifying attack. The 8th prince had a dignified expression, but Lin Xian only sneered disdainfully. Comparing numbers? You're really courting death. Lin Xian stood in the dragon's sword domain and roared toward the sky. His body erupted with resplendent light. Everyone was stunned. They saw thousands of sword chi intertwining in the dragon's sword domain, and a terrifying demonic beast phantom flew out. Phoenix, Qilin, True Dragon, 9-headed lion, Hell Demon Elephant, Peerless Serpent, 3-headed Hellhound. Terrifying figures appeared in the sky. They crushed the 9 heavens and shattered the stars. It was as if real, primordial demonic beasts had awakened. The terrifying aura made everyone tremble. Damn it, how could it be? How could he have such a method? The 3rd prince's side had gone mad. The violet-clothed woman's body was trembling. Her face was incomparably pale without a trace of blood. She had a total of 5 demonic kings on her side, but the other party had taken out nearly 50 of them. None of them were weaker than her. How could she fight when there was a difference of 10 times? Damn it, these were all energy bodies. They could not stay for a long time. As long as they persevered, they would be fine. The violet-clothed woman's face was gloomy. She naturally knew about this matter. However, she did not know if they could withstand the other party's attack. Sure enough, after a few moves, the violet-clothed woman's 5 demonic beasts were all killed. Blood dyed the sky. It turned into a sea of blood. A few huge corpses smashed onto the ground, causing billowing smoke. In the sky, the demonic kings gradually faded and would disappear at any time. However, Lin Xian still waved his hand. Immediately, 50 demonic king phantoms charged towards the third prince. Block for me. The third prince's scalp went numb. He quickly shot out the flood dragon scissors and instantly pierced through 10 demonic beast phantoms. The remaining 40 or so demonic beasts mercilessly drowned them. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, these demonic beast phantoms exploded, turning into a fierce storm that filled the sky. Boom, boom. Several powerful figures were sent flying in an instant. The third prince was drowned and could not be seen clearly at all. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw the scene. Some of them even stopped fighting. The royal elders in the Grand Imperial Hall were also on tenterhooks. Would the third prince be able to withstand such an attack? They did not know, but they were very worried. The surrounding demonic beasts who were sent flying used their king domains and quickly charged in to save the third prince. When all the light was torn apart and the energy faded, the third prince's figure appeared. His hair was disheveled and he was in an extremely sorry state. There was blood flowing from his body. The flood dragon scissors beside him also had cracks on them. This was a top-tier treasure. Now that there were cracks on it, one could imagine how terrifying the explosion was. The third prince was injured. Everyone was shocked. The royal elders also exclaimed in surprise. On the other hand, the 8th prince was cheering. From the looks of it, it wouldn't be long before they could eliminate the third prince and eliminate him. The third prince gritted his teeth and his expression was extremely ferocious. Damn it! Damn it! How could the opponent use such a terrifying method? Even he was injured. If it were not for the flood dragon scissors protecting him, the explosion just now would have eliminated him. Thinking of this, he swallowed a pill and used a secret technique to recover his body. At the same time, he summoned the surrounding demonic beasts to protect him. Looking at the current situation, his strength had been greatly reduced. It was unlikely that he could kill the 8th prince again. Therefore, the third prince wanted to retreat. However, how could the 8th prince and the others let the third prince leave? This was a perfect opportunity. If they missed this opportunity, there would not be a next time. Therefore, the 8th prince and the others launched a fierce attack and attacked the third prince crazily. Lin Xian was even faster. He used the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword to the extreme. Every sword chi was extremely terrifying and was even accompanied by a loud dragon roar. Chapter 2171. Almost no one could fight him one-on-one. Even if they surrounded him, Lin Xian could still dodge with his super speed. Damn it, he's too strong. Everyone's face turned ugly. They did not know that this was not Lin Xian's full strength. If Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul and activated the Heavenly Secret Divine Eyes, these people would probably go crazy. Boom! Boom! In the end, several powerful figures were sent flying. Lin Xian slashed at the third prince. The third prince's pupils shrank and he quickly dodged. He was swept by the sword chi and was sent flying. However, the 2 dragons firmly protected him. However, this was not the way to go. Seeing that some of the almighties around him had been pinned down while the rest had been blasted away, there was no one left around him. The third prince's face turned gloomy. He did not expect to face the danger of being eliminated. Thinking of this, he roared angrily, "Old 8, Do you dare to fight me one-on-one? Hearing this, the surrounding powerful figures sneered. The eighth prince also decisively refused. You are not qualified to fight me. You coward. You don't even dare to fight me one-on-one. How can you be the crown prince? The third prince was furious. His opponent did not fall for his trick, which made him go crazy. If the crown prince wants to fight me one-on-one, I might consider it. But third brother, you are at the end of the road. Do you still want to make a comeback? Brother Lin, do it! Hearing this, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand and strode forward. Damn brat, I won't let you succeed. The third prince roared and launched a fierce attack. Anyway, they had protective talismans and would not really die. Therefore, he had to kill this detestable brat at all costs. The aura of the Tao of Dragon on his body burst out. The third prince crazily activated the flood dragon scissors and attacked. The two dragons roared and turned into demonic beasts that were thousands of feet long. They attacked crazily. The terrifying aura pierced through everything. Feeling this aura, the faces of the elites on the eighth prince's side changed. The third prince's strength was so terrifying. They were too shocked. That was because they had not thought the third prince to be very powerful before. But now, the third prince had unleashed his full strength. This caused them to be extremely shocked. Lin Xian also activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul and used the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword to quickly slash forward. The sword technique was incomparably horrifying, slicing the entire void apart. The boundless sword light was like the stars in the sky, exploding everything in front of it. The third prince's expression changed. He could feel the threat of death from Lin Xian's sword qi, which made him shudder with fear. However, there were terrifying sword qi all around him. It was like a cage that firmly locked onto him. He had no way of escaping at all. Boom! Boom! The third prince could only activate the flood dragon scissors and resist madly. He shattered some of the sword qi, but even more sword qi came at him. The primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword was indeed a heaven-tier cultivation technique. It was extremely terrifying, coupled with an offensive saint art like the Great Dragon Sword Spirit. Lin Xian's sword aura was like a divine sword from beyond the heavens. It was abnormally terrifying. Clang! Clang! The third prince's yellow flood dragon scissors were beaten back again and again, and more cracks appeared on them. They could split open at any time. However, it was still a top-tier treasure after all. It could hold on for a while, but the third prince's situation was getting more and more dangerous. Roar! The third prince roared angrily. His eyes were bloodshot, and killing intent surged from his body. It was all because of this detestable kid in front of him that he was about to be eliminated. If he was eliminated, then he would completely lose his position as the crown prince, and he would never be able to take it back. Thinking of this, he roared at the sky, and his black hair danced wildly. At this moment, he was like a killing god, staring at Lin Xian. Kid, I want you dead. The third prince took out another golden treasure box. The box was the size of 2 palms, and it was golden all over. It was as bright as the sun, and it shone brightly. There were dragons carved on it, and one could tell at a glance that it was no ordinary item. The royal elders in the Grand Imperial Hall were also shocked when they saw the golden treasure box. Could it be that thing? The third prince was too bold. How could he bring that thing with him? What was he trying to do? Many of the royal elders' expressions changed because they had already guessed what was inside the golden treasure box. Even the Empress and His Majesty frowned. In the battle, the third prince's expression was ferocious. Kid, this is between you and me. You can go to hell for me. As he spoke, he quickly opened the golden treasure box. Suddenly, the sky was filled with red light, and the entire sky was dyed red. A monstrous, murderous aura swept out in all directions. Everyone trembled, and even the elites were no exception. What is this thing that contains such a murderous aura? Damn it, this is the blood essence of the royal family. At the back, the third prince exclaimed, "Be careful, don't get hurt by that thing. This is the blood essence left behind by a supreme expert of the royal family. One drop is enough to kill a top-tier mighty. If there are a few more drops, it won't be a problem to kill a supreme expert." So terrifying. When the other elites heard this, their scalps went numb, and they quickly retreated. No one dared to get close to the third prince. Heavens, one drop of blood could kill them. This is too terrifying. This must be the blood left behind by a supreme expert. Even Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect the third prince to have such a treasure. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy. He felt that he had to get rid of the third prince quickly. Otherwise, the third prince might cause trouble again. After thinking about it, Lin Xian didn't plan to use the Tianji Divine Eyes. If he used the Tianji Divine Eyes, he could destroy the third prince's soul, but he couldn't kill the third prince. Unless he really destroyed the third prince's soul, the third prince would definitely recognize his eye technique when his soul recovered. It was the legendary Tianji Divine Eyes. At that time, he would be mercilessly hunted down by the entire Tai dynasty. After all, this thing was more precious than any rare treasure. It was enough to make a supreme dynasty go crazy. Thinking of this, Lin Xian gritted his teeth and decided to use the second killing move of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword at all costs. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated wildly. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword, Demon Seal. He swung his sword, and a terrifying sword chi slashed out. The third prince felt that his life was not in danger, and he frantically took out the drop of blood from the golden box. Buzz! The drop of blood was crystal clear, but it contained supreme energy and terrifying killing intent. The moment it appeared, the entire void shattered. Countless cracks spread out for thousands of miles, unable to withstand the power at all. Boom! 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 The two attacks collided, and the entire void was torn apart in an instant. In front of him, the bright, chaotic sword chi collided with it, and then it shattered. This was a heaven-class cultivation technique. It shattered in an instant. One could imagine how terrifying the power contained in this drop of blood was. However, although the demon sealing sword chi shattered, the energy in the drop of blood was mostly depleted. The murderous aura on it was not as fierce as before. However, it still charged toward Lin Xian. Chapter 2172. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. They wanted to know if Lin Xian could withstand it. Lin Xian focused his gaze, and a bright light burst out from his eyes. Then he used his second killer move. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword, War Song. A sword chi that was even more terrifying than the previous one slashed out and sliced the blood in half. The terrifying sword essence on top of it frantically destroyed the energy inside. Boom! At the same time, the entire sky was split apart. What? It was sliced apart. The third prince's pupils shrank when he saw this. He did not expect that his last killer move would be broken apart by his opponent. He could not believe it. In the next moment, he was sent flying by the sword chi and vomited blood. Crack, crack, crack. More than half of the third prince's bones were broken, and the golden box in his hand was also sliced apart. However, he did not teleport out. Seeing this, Lin Xian roared, and the sword soul in his body circulated wildly. Then, a dragon-shaped sword chi was slashed out by him. Roar! When the sword slashed out, there was a loud dragon roar in the surroundings, and countless lightning bolts seemed to fall from the sky. No, you can't kill me, the third prince roared crazily. This sword was even more terrifying than the previous one. He did not expect that his opponent's combat power would be so strong. He could not withstand it at all. He wanted to escape, but he could not. In the next moment, he was drowned by the sword chi. No. Seeing this scene, many Almighties cried out in alarm. Their faces were ashen and filled with despair. This was because they could feel that this sword was too terrifying. Even if the third prince was not injured, he would not be able to withstand it. Now that the third prince was seriously injured, he would not be able to withstand it. If the third prince was eliminated, then all of them would be eliminated. In this way, they would not be able to receive the baptism of the imperial dragon bloodline. In front of them, the violent energy continued to flood the area. The surrounding people could not see it clearly. However, everyone's eyes were extremely solemn, regardless of whether it was the third prince or the eighth prince. Buzz, buzz, buzz. However, at this moment, all the Almighties on the third prince's side shone brightly. A terrifying spatial energy quickly formed on their bodies. What is this? These people's faces changed, but the eighth prince's face was filled with ecstasy. We won, we won. The Nether King, Daoist Long, and the others gasped when they heard this. Their eyes shone brightly. They were too excited. This meant that the third prince had been eliminated and the remaining powerhouses would also be teleported out. Sure enough, in the next moment, these powerful beings were enveloped by a mysterious force. They tore through the void and disappeared. In front of him, the energy vortex also gradually disappeared before dispersing. The void in front of him quickly healed, and the third prince was nowhere to be seen. Seeing this scene, the eighth prince's side cheered. Inside the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal elders were all extremely shocked. They never thought that the third prince would actually lose. How could this be? The elders who supported the third prince all had ugly expressions on their faces as they gnashed their teeth. Those who supported the eighth prince were very excited. Inside the imperial palace, there was another hall. There was a huge formation there. It was very mysterious. The array suddenly flickered, and then a figure appeared. This person was the third prince. As soon as he appeared, he roared furiously at the sky, as if he had gone mad. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The third prince gritted his teeth. His eyes were red, and the murderous aura on his body pierced through the void. Lin Xian, how dare you eliminate me? I will definitely kill you. I will tear you into pieces. The third prince roared crazily. However, no matter how much he roared, he could not change the fact that he had been eliminated. The news of the third prince's appearance swept out like a gust of wind. When the other princes heard about it, they were all extremely shocked and could not believe it. To be honest, if the second prince, the sixth prince, and the seventh prince were eliminated, they would not be shocked. They would not be too shocked. After all, these princes were ordinary and would be eliminated sooner or later. However, the first to be eliminated was the third prince. The third prince was one of the three strongest princes. His strength was extremely terrifying. He was the most popular prince in the battle for the position of crown prince. He had a high chance of becoming the crown prince. However, such a person had been eliminated. How could they not be shocked? When they found out that it was the eighth prince who eliminated the third prince, they all fell silent. This was because the eighth prince was also one of the three strongest princes. Now that he had defeated the third prince, it could be said that he was extremely powerful. Perhaps only the first prince could fight against him. After the first prince received the news, his face turned gloomy and he snorted coldly. This eighth prince was able to defeat the third prince. This is really surprising. However, if he wants to deal with me, he is still too weak. The first prince could not let his guard down. I feel that the reason why the eighth prince was able to defeat the third prince was related to Lin Xian. After all, he had just obtained a unique treasure. Perhaps it was the unique treasure that played a role. Yes, that's right. I think so too. After the first prince said that, the surrounding experts nodded their heads. The first prince's eyes flickered. Then he said, "Where is the Golden Lion King? Let him come back. We will meet him." Lin Xian had already met up with the eighth prince. It would be dangerous for him to go alone. Moreover, calculating the time, it was almost time for the final battle to begin. Let's eliminate the other princes first. Next, the first prince started to act. He did not specifically look for the eighth prince. Instead, he pushed his way through. He eliminated all the princes that he encountered along the way. The eighth prince had the same plan. He also pushed his way through. Soon, the weaker princes were eliminated. In the end, only the first prince, the eighth prince, and the stronger fourth prince, the ninth prince, and the 15th prince were left. Among them, the ninth prince and the 15th prince joined forces to fight against the first prince. On the other side, the eighth prince and the fourth prince met. Ninth prince, 15th prince, you two should obediently admit defeat. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. You want us to admit defeat? Sure. Show us your strength and defeat us. Otherwise, it's impossible for us to surrender with just a few words. The ninth prince snorted coldly. The 15th prince also had a serious expression. The kings around them all looked as if they were facing a great enemy. You're courting death. Since you want to fight me, I won't hold back. The first prince sneered. Then a giant dragon appeared on his body. Go, kill them. The first prince shouted coldly. The kings around him also started to move. At the same time, a golden figure descended from the sky. He was like a god of war. His aura suppressed the surroundings. Not good, it's the Golden Lion King. Quickly stop him. The ninth prince and the 15th prince roared. They knew how terrifying the Golden Lion King was. They could not let him get close. Otherwise, they would be in danger. Chapter 2173. Boom! A fierce battle broke out. However, the first prince's side was too strong. In addition to the Golden Lion King, the ninth prince and the 15th prince were eliminated in the end. Eighth prince, you're the only one left. The first prince sneered. Then, he waved his hand and led his men to set off again. On the other side, the fourth prince and the eighth prince met and fought fiercely. Among them, Jian Shisan stood out. He looked at Lin Xian without saying a word. However, the sword intent on his body was getting more and more terrifying. The aura he emitted was far stronger than before. Obviously, Jian Shisan had also obtained a great opportunity during this period of time and improved his strength. Lin Xian naturally knew what Jian Shisan meant. Therefore, he also took a step forward and sword qi surged on his body. Then he used the chaotic heaven destroyer sword and fought with Jian Shisan. What a terrifying sword technique! Jian Shisan and Lin Xian exchanged more than 10 moves and were defeated. His arms were trembling slightly because his opponent's sword technique was too terrifying. He didn't use this sword technique in the first stage. Could it be that he obtained it in some ruins? Jian Shisan was extremely shocked. Jian Shisan was defeated, and soon the fourth prince was defeated as well. It couldn't be helped. Although the fourth prince was powerful, he was still lacking when compared to the third prince. Since the third prince was eliminated, the fourth prince would definitely not be able to hold on for long. Therefore, the fourth prince and the kings around him were all teleported out. In the royal palace, the fourth prince and the others appeared. They also sighed, knowing that they had no chance to compete for the position of crown prince this time. Let's go. The fourth prince tidied his clothes and said, let's go and see if the first prince or the eighth prince won this time. Although he lost, the fourth prince wasn't too depressed, because he knew from the beginning that his chances of winning the position of crown prince were less than 10%. Therefore, in the second stage, he led his men to search for all kinds of ruins and obtain the treasures inside to increase his strength. He had done his best to do what he should do. Therefore, there was no need to be disappointed now. Right now, he wanted to go and watch the final battle. Not only him, all the princes went to the grand imperial palace. Those powerful beings also followed one after another. They were still in the camp of their respective princes, so they naturally had the opportunity to watch the final battle. In an instant, the grand imperial hall became extremely lively. Everyone was discussing who the final victor was. Humph! Was there even a need to think? It had to be the first prince. With the strength of the Crown Prince's lineup, as well as the Golden Lion King, who could be the Crown Prince's opponent. No matter how strong the eighth prince was, it was impossible for him to compete with the eldest prince. That's right, the final victor would definitely be the first prince. Many old men spoke bold words. It was obvious that they supported the first prince. Hearing this, the corners of the Empress's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile. However, some people didn't think so. Not necessarily. The eighth prince was not to be underestimated. Moreover, he still had Lin Xian. That kid had obtained a lot of rare treasures. I'm sure you've all seen the previous battle. Lin Xian's battle prowess is incomparably terrifying. He's definitely at the top. There would definitely be no problem for him to compete with the Golden Lion King. Yes, there would be no problem for him to compete with the Golden Lion King. However, do you think the eighth prince would be able to compete with the first prince among the remaining people? Someone sneered. In short, everyone was discussing intensely. However, at this moment, someone exclaimed, "Look, they've met." Hearing this, everyone shut their mouths. Their eyes widened as they looked at the screen. They discovered that the first prince and the eighth prince had indeed met. The two sides were facing each other in the air, and the void was directly shattered. Seeing this scene, everyone took a deep breath. Their expressions were incomparably solemn. The blood in their bodies was about to boil because this was the final battle. The eighth prince and the first prince had met. The eighth prince was incomparably solemn. The King Almighties behind him also looked as if they were facing a great enemy. After all, the first prince was the strongest prince. He had many trump cards in his hands, and he also had the Golden Lion King. It could be said that his strength was incomparably terrifying. Old 8, I didn't expect that the one who would fight with me in the end would be you. The first prince looked over and said coldly, "However, against me, you have no chance of winning. If you don't want to lose too much, I advise you to obediently take your people and admit defeat. Otherwise, when I make my move, you won't have a good ending." Humph! The eighth prince coldly snorted. It wasn't certain who would win or lose, since they had already reached the final step. How could he admit defeat at this moment? "You're courting death." Seeing that the eighth prince still wanted to resist, the first prince sneered. The King Almighties behind him also emitted a terrifying aura. At the same time, in the sky, a golden figure descended. Boom! A terrifying aura pressed down in all directions. The Golden Lion King. Seeing this golden figure, the eighth prince's side sucked in a breath of cold air. The moment the Golden Lion King descended, he didn't care about anyone else. His eyes were fixed on Lin Xian. "Kid, hand over the heavenly treasure. Otherwise die." Humph! Lin Xian snorted and took a step forward. His body emitted a biting cold aura. "You want the heavenly treasure in my hands. Sure, but you have to defeat me. The heavenly treasure is yours. You're courting death." The Golden Lion King's face sank. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Then, a strange rune appeared between his eyebrows. The power of his bloodline immediately surged. That rune was very dazzling and incomparably mysterious. It made people feel dizzy just by looking at it. The chi and blood in the Golden Lion King's body was like a furnace, emitting a terrifying light. Rays of rainbow light shot into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted, causing everyone's expression to change, especially the eighth prince's side. Everyone looked as if they were facing a great enemy. There was nothing they could do. The aura emitted by the Golden Lion King was too terrifying. It made them feel suffocated. Was this the power of the war tribe's bloodline? It was too terrifying. That's right. He was only a 6-star king, but he already had the battle strength of a peak Almighty. If he entered the realm of Almighty, wouldn't he be heaven-defying? Everyone was shocked. After the Golden Lion King used his bloodline power, his aura became extremely sharp. His gaze was like a golden divine sword piercing through the void. At this moment, he didn't seem like a human. Instead, he seemed like a high and mighty war god, looking down on the common people. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. Since you want to fight, I'll fulfill your wish. As his voice fell, a terrifying light surged from his body. The great dragon, sword soul in his body erupted. A majestic sword aura shot into the sky. Buzz! With a slash, the primal chaos destroyer sword soul's power erupted. It was incomparably terrifying, like a heavenly sword descending. Chapter 2174. Buzz! With a slash, the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword was unleashed. Mixed with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it was incomparably terrifying. Boom! The Golden Lion King clenched his fist, and the bloodline power in his body surged crazily. Then he punched out. When the two collided, shocking energy exploded, and the surrounding space quickly collapsed. An extremely powerful energy storm formed between the two of them. Not good. Retreat. When the surrounding king almighties saw this scene, their expressions changed. They frantically retreated, and instantly retreated a few thousand miles. Even the first prince and the 8th prince quickly retreated. Soon, the space where they were originally standing turned into countless cracks and then collapsed. Not only that, the cracks were still spreading. Soon, it spread from 1,000 miles to 10,000 miles. The entire space within 10,000 miles was completely shattered. The violent energy swallowed Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King. It was too terrifying. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them with fear. Even the elders in the Grand Imperial Hall felt their scalps go numb. This was just a casual attack from the two young men, and it caused such a terrifying scene. If the two of them attacked with their full strength, how terrifying would it be? They didn't dare to imagine. Those princes were also silent, especially the 3rd prince. He was so angry that he was gnashing his teeth. Right now, his killing intent towards Lin Xian could be said to be monstrous. However, now that he saw how powerful Lin Xian was and how he could actually fight the Golden Lion King head-on, he was even more furious. The 1st prince's expression was grave and somewhat cold. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to fight the Golden Lion King. It was really out of his expectations. However, in the next moment, he sneered. He didn't have the Golden Lion King, but his side was still very strong. However, on the 8th prince's side, without Lin Xian, his strength would probably be greatly reduced. Therefore, in the next moment, his gaze was like a knife as he stared at the 8th prince. Old 8, follow me to the other side to fight. Humph. The 8th prince snorted and flew away with Daoist Long and the other kings. After flying for 30,000 miles, they stopped. It couldn't be helped. If they wanted to fight, they couldn't rely on Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King to get too close. Otherwise, they would be affected. Let the two young geniuses fight. The 1st prince also followed behind and stopped. He laughed coldly and said, Old 8, let me see if you have made any progress during this period. You will see. The 8th prince said in a deep voice. A dragon-shaped phantom appeared on his body. Then, with a cold shout, he attacked. Boom! Boom! Terrifying energy erupted as the 8th prince and the 3rd prince finally clashed. Everyone in the Grand Imperial Hall was astonished when they saw the dazzling lights dancing on the screen and Wu Ji's divine ability. However, they actually wanted to see the battle between the Golden Lion King and Xian. But now the 1st prince and the 8th prince were more than 30,000 miles away from Lin Xian and the others, so the light screen couldn't show them. They could only wait patiently. However, at this moment, a very powerful elder of the royal family said in a deep voice, Perhaps the key to this battle was to see who would emerge victorious between Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Could it be that the two young men were already able to affect the entire battle? However, after thinking about it, it was indeed so. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but become excited. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King clashed, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to split. Then, the two of them stopped again and each stood on one side. The Golden Lion King's body shone brightly like a god of war. He retracted his fist with a cold expression. "Kid, hand over the heavenly emperor's treasure obediently. Otherwise, your end will be very miserable. I've said it before. If you defeat me, the treasure will be yours." Lin Xian replied in a deep voice. "All right, I'll let you see the ultimate skill of my war tribe today." As soon as he finished speaking, the aura on his body became violent again. He was like an immemorial beast. He recovered quickly, burning sun fist. The Golden Lion King's arms danced, and the power of his bloodline spread out. A violent aura swept through the world. Each fist was incomparably terrifying, like a sun blooming in the sky. This fist technique of mine is a set of ultimate skills of the war tribe. Under the power of my bloodline, it's incomparably terrifying. No one below the realm of supreme beings can resist it. You are no exception. The Golden Lion King transformed into a ball of fiery red sun as it charged towards Lin Xian at high speed. "Is that so? What war tribe?" "It's just a legend. I was able to injure you last time, and I can do the same this time." Lin Xian pulled out the 9 nether demon sword, and a terrifying killing intent bloomed from his body. In the next moment, he used the primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword and faced the attack. Boom! Soon, the two of them met in the air. The golden fist and the sharp sword technique collided once again. The sky fell and the earth cracked. Nothing could withstand this power. Lin Xian also frowned because he felt that the other party's power had become stronger again. It was even more violent than before. It was as if thousands of mountains were pressing down on his sword, making his demon sword incomparably heavy. "Do you feel it? This is my true power. Do you think you can contend against it?" The Golden Lion King's handsome face revealed a trace of malevolence. Then he attacked again, burning heaven and earth. The golden fist burned fiercely and turned into 2 golden suns. It attacked again and forced Lin Xian to retreat. The Golden Lion King walked over with large strides, creating countless cracks in the void. With every step, the aura on his body condensed. The power of bloodline turned into strange demonic runes one after another, appearing on his body. In the dark, there seemed to be an incomparably terrifying battle intent that was awakening and erupting. "You injured me last time because I was careless. This time, I will use all of my bloodline power. I will let you know how terrifying the war tribe is. It's not something you can imagine." The golden rune between the Golden Lion King's eyebrows flickered. The power of bloodline in his body quickly circulated. His fist transformed into thousands of suns, crushing the void and enveloping Lin Xian. Each sun was incomparably terrifying. They burned fiercely and could instantly kill an elite supreme expert. Perhaps even a peak supreme expert wouldn't be able to withstand it. Lin Xian's expression was grave. He didn't expect this Golden Lion King to be more terrifying and powerful than he imagined. As expected of the legendary genius of the war tribe, it was absolutely heaven-defying. This was the most terrifying enemy he had encountered so far. In the next moment, he would use the primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword. A terrifying sword light would surge out and slash apart the sun-like phantoms, one after another. However, when the sun phantoms exploded, the energy formed caused a terrifying impact to him. Fortunately, his physique had been refined by the immemorial demonic blood and far surpassed before. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. "Kid, I didn't expect you to be more powerful than before. Interesting indeed. However, you are not my opponent at all." Chapter 2175. The Golden Lion King was surprised to see that Lin Xian was able to block the golden suns in the sky. He realized that Lin Xian's strength was indeed stronger than the last time they met. But so what? He had fully activated his bloodline power. He could even kill a god. Limitless heaven and earth. The Golden Lion King's fist technique became extremely berserk again. Terrifying golden fists appeared in the sky. Then they formed a golden ocean and rolled over. The void collapsed in an instant. There was nothing that could withstand it at all. At this moment, Lin Xian felt a great sense of danger. Even the King Almighties who were fighting tens of thousands of miles away trembled as fear rose in their hearts. They subconsciously turned their heads and looked at the sky tens of thousands of miles away. There, golden light flickered. It was impossible to see clearly. However, the aura it emitted seemed to be able to devour heaven and earth. Lin Xian also felt threatened. He didn't dare to be careless. He covered himself with the black battle armor and summoned the Ice Guardian. Then Lin Xian used the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword and attacked. Demon Seal. Terrifying sword chi was unleashed. It seemed to be able to seal the heaven and earth. Therefore, the golden waves that the Golden Lion King shot out gradually dimmed under the influence of Demon Seal. It seemed like they would disappear at any time. What was going on? Why did the golden light in the distance suddenly dim? The kings 30,000 miles away were extremely confused. The Golden Lion King also frowned. He could feel a mysterious power weakening his strength. Boom! In the next moment, the golden light in the sky disappeared completely. It was completely sealed. What was this? The Golden Lion King frowned. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. The burning sky, scorching sun fist was his war, tribe's ultimate skill. It was extremely violent and terrifying. No one could resist it, let alone seal it. But now, the berserk power he had unleashed had inexplicably disappeared. He was unable to believe it. However, before he could react, Lin Xian charged at him once again. Seeing this scene, the Golden Lion King's face darkened. Not only did he fail to injure Lin Xian, but his attack was also destroyed. This made him furious. One must know that he was the Golden Lion King. He was a genius of the war tribe. He had never placed anyone in his eyes. But now, Lin Xian was provoking him again and again. He even successfully suppressed him. This made him so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Damn brat. Go to hell. The Golden Lion King roared. The golden light in his body suddenly burst out and engulfed the surroundings. At the same time, 2 balls of golden flames appeared on his fists. Instantly, the spiritual chi within a radius of 10,000 miles surged towards him and entered the 2 balls of flames in his hands. The 2 balls of flames became even more resplendent, as if they were the flames of the gods. Hoop boom! The void directly collapsed, unable to withstand this power at all. Soon after, the Golden Lion King formed a seal with both of its hands, and the 2 golden flames began to fuse together. Suddenly, an even more terrifying aura burst out. Not only that, but the golden flame also began to transform into a golden divine tree that was burning fiercely. Above the golden birth god tree, clusters of golden phantoms appeared like suns. Sun God's palm. With a wave of his palm, the sky was filled with flames. It was as if a real sun had descended to the mortal world. That terrifying aura directly shattered the mountain peak below. Large swathes of the forest burned and turned into ashes. In the Golden Lion King's hand, the golden flames turned into 9 golden crows. They spread their wings and flew towards Lin Xian. Soon after, they grew in size and turned into 300-meter-long demonic beasts. They were incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian roared. The dragon's sword domain quickly appeared and turned into 2 true dragons. They circled around his hands. In the next moment, he grabbed the void and pulled with force. Ka ka ka! The entire void was like a piece of cloth. It was torn in half from the middle. A huge black crack flew out from Lin Xian's fingertip and spread forward. The sky seemed to have really been split open. The violent spatial energy spread out in all directions. It even charged towards the Golden Lion King. This was a very terrifying method. It was equivalent to Lin Xian withstanding the terrifying spatial energy. However, countless sword qi rose from his body and destroyed the power of space. However, the 9 golden crows in front were fiercely attacked. The first 3 golden crows were instantly torn in half by the spatial energy. They turned into countless flames and fell into the dark void. However, this was an absolute art after all. In addition to the power of the Golden Lion King's bloodline, it was incomparably terrifying and burned fiercely. The 6 golden crows behind directly shattered the void and attacked again. They fought against the spatial crack. In the end, they disappeared into the void together. Spatial energy? The Golden Lion King frowned. He didn't expect the other party to have grasped this spatial energy. This spatial energy was very difficult to grasp. As far as he knew, only the Gu family of the East had grasped it. He didn't expect the other party to have it. However, in the next moment, the corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Brat, don't think that you can threaten me just because you have grasped the spatial energy. You are too naive. I will let you know the true power of my war tribe. The Golden Lion King's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. The golden light in his eyes bloomed even more. The golden rune between his brows became even more resplendent. In the next moment, he stretched out his hands and pulled with force. Crack, crack, crack. Instantly, the void in front of him was torn apart. A huge black crack spread out. That scene was exactly the same as Lin Xian's. It was as if it was copied. In the sky, 2 incomparably dark spatial cracks were spread out. Everyone within 100,000 miles could see it. At this moment, not to mention the 8th prince and the 1st prince, even the people in the Grand Imperial Hall could see it through the screen. They were extremely terrified. What kind of ability did the 2 of them use? How could they tear apart such a terrifying space? Heavens, this couldn't be spatial energy, right? Otherwise, ordinary energy wouldn't be able to tear apart such a terrifying void. That's right. Only an invincible king could create such a spatial crack. Other than that, other than spatial energy, I can't think of anything else. The 2 of them actually know how to use spatial energy. How is this possible? Everyone was stunned. They couldn't understand it at all. Lin Xian furrowed his brows as well. When he saw that the other party was doing the exact same thing as him and creating a scene, he immediately frowned. What's going on? Why does it feel so familiar? Lin Xian coldly snorted. He formed a seal with both hands. The Hell's ice lotus flew out from his hands and rushed forward. Useless brat. The Golden Lion King's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. The power of his bloodline bloomed even more. He also formed a seal. Soon after, a golden lotus flew out and enlarged. It was like a golden mountain as it rotated in the empty palace. The aura it emitted was incomparably terrifying. Chapter 2176. A golden lotus quickly flew out and enlarged. It was like a golden mountain as it rotated in the illusory palace. The aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. Boom! 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 The 2 lotuses collided in the air and formed a terrifying storm. Then they were extinguished together. It was the same attack again. Lin Xian frowned even more. In the next moment, the demon-slaying sword formation appeared under his feet. An immemorial shadow soared into the sky. The black shadow carried a violent power as it charged towards the Golden Lion King. The Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. At this moment, he was like a god of war that controlled the world. Countless golden patterns spread under his feet and turned into golden flames. They condensed into a golden, illusory shadow. It was like an immemorial demon god that emitted a desolate aura. It really looked like a golden, immemorial demon beast that had awakened. Boom! Boom! Another shocking collision. Then, the two completely disappeared in the void. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was completely stunned. He was too familiar with this method. No matter what the other party used, he could simulate it. This was a divine ability that came with his great dragon sword soul. How did the other party know how to use it? Lin Xian was too surprised. It could even be said that he was extremely shocked, because he didn't expect the Golden Lion King's move to be so similar to his. But how was this possible? The reason why he could do it was because he had the great dragon sword soul. It could simulate and simulate everything. How did the other party do it? Why was it able to simulate the move he used? Could it be that the other party also had a similar divine ability or treasure? Lin Xian didn't know, but he was extremely shocked. Ruzalong, hey too, do you know the origin of the war tribe? Lin Xian asked through voice transmission. However, Ruzalong and He too shook their heads. The war tribe was prosperous about 100,000 years ago. However, it gradually declined. 10,000 years ago, it completely disappeared. When I was there, the war tribe had already disappeared. And Hong said, He too also said that when I was there, the war tribe was very low-key. Therefore, I couldn't find anything. Lin Xian's frown deepened when he heard the voice transmission. Even He too and the Crimson Dragon didn't know about what happened 100,000 years ago, so how could he know? However, he guessed that the war race was definitely not that simple. Seeing Lin Xian's astonished expression and frowning appearance, the Golden Lion King smiled. How is it, brat? Are you very astonished? It's no wonder you're surprised. I can use all the martial skills and divine abilities you use. Therefore, in front of me, you have no chance of winning. A confident smile appeared on the Golden Lion King's face. He looked at Lin Xian with pity in his eyes. I admit that you can be considered a genius, surpassing most people. But unfortunately, you met me. The war race is not something you can imagine. The war clan's foundation also far surpasses your understanding. Therefore, they had to obediently hand over the heavenly treasure. I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you will experience what it means to be in despair, to live a life worse than death. Hearing the Golden Lion King's words, Lin Xian regained his senses and coldly snorted. Although he didn't know what method the Golden Lion King used to imitate his divine abilities, he still dared to challenge the war race. However, the other party actually dared to compete with him in this aspect. He was really courting death. The great dragon sword soul wasn't someone to be trifled with. As long as Lin Xian used his full strength, it would definitely be terrifying. Therefore, the other party was truly courting death. Humph. This is your method, the divine ability of your war race? In my opinion, it's only SOSO. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Only SOSO. Brat, don't boast. I can use all the divine abilities, you know. Moreover, under the power of my bloodline, they're definitely stronger than yours. What can you use to defeat me? Even stronger than mine? You're too confident, too naive. You can give it a try and see if it's stronger than mine. Lin Xian disdainfully snorted. He would let the other party know what was called the Great Dragon Sword Soul, unparalleled in the world. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. The Golden Lion King's face sank. Since the other party didn't know the difference between life and death, there was no need for him to hold back. On the other side, Lin Xian's palms formed seals again. The black hellfire and the blue sea gods' ice quickly merged in front of him. However, this time, it wasn't a simple fusion. Lin Xian poured the power of the great dragon sword soul into it. The hell's ice lotus was formed. On the surface of the lotus, dragon patterns appeared, emitting a terrifying aura. This power was several times stronger than before. Lin Xian waved his arm and the hell's ice lotus flew out. It's useless. I've already learned this move. You're not my opponent at all." Seeing Lin Xian using the Hell's Ice Lotus, the Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. He quickly formed seals with his palms, and the power of his bloodline surged. A golden lotus rose into the air and flew out quickly. Boom! In the next moment, the two collided in the air and a terrifying energy swept out. Humph! Although it's just an imitation, my bloodline power is definitely far stronger than yours. This time, you won't be able to block it at all. The Golden Lion King stood behind with a cold gaze. However, in the next moment, he was stunned. Even his pupils shrank abruptly. Damn it! How is this possible? He was extremely shocked because he felt that the Hell's Ice Lotus he formed was quickly shattering into pieces. The other party's Hell's Ice Lotus was coming at him with a terrifying aura. Boom! In an instant, it arrived in front of him. How is this possible? He was extremely shocked and didn't dare to believe it. How did the other party's power increase again? In fact, it even surpassed the power of his bloodline. What's going on? He couldn't understand. However, he didn't have time to think about it. The Hell's Ice Lotus in front of him had already enveloped him. If this energy exploded, it would definitely threaten his life. Therefore, in the next moment, the Golden Lion King roared and his speed exploded to the limit. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared in an instant. At the same time, he waved his fists and used the Fearless Lion Seal. The terrifying seal was infused with his bloodline power. It was as if a real Demon King had awakened. In an instant, he collided with the Hell's Ice Lotus in front of him. Only then did he block the Hell's Ice Lotus. However, he was still affected by this energy and kept retreating. The golden flames on his body were extinguished by quite a bit. Damn it! What's going on? His divine ability was even more powerful than before. The Golden Lion King retreated to the back with an incomparably cold expression. Previously, he had tested the other party's power. It was the same as when he didn't use his bloodline power. Now that he used his bloodline power, his combat power had increased by several times. It would definitely not be a problem to kill the other party. Even if he used the same move, he would still be able to defeat the other party. However, the situation now was beyond his expectations. Both parties used the same move, but his move was broken. In other words, the other party's divine ability was more powerful than his. However, how is this possible? Chapter 2177. He was a genius of the war tribe and possessed an incomparably terrifying bloodline power. He was born for battle. His battle prowess had reached the pinnacle of the younger generation. How could his opponent be stronger than him? He did not believe it. Why? Are you surprised? Is it out of your expectations? On the other side, Lin Xian stepped in the air and walked over. He revealed a trace of ridicule. Who do you think you are to be able to control everything? Do you think the war tribe is really as powerful as the legends say? In my opinion, it's only SOSO. At least you can't control me. Damn it, I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King roared. Brat, I don't know what secret technique you used to stimulate your body's potential. That's why your battle prowess is multiplied. But thinking about it, this secret technique can't last for too long. It can't be compared to my bloodline power at all. Ignorant. The war tribe was strong, but they were not the strongest. Otherwise, they wouldn't have declined. Lin Xian's expression was cold. Do you still think that your war tribe is at its peak? You're courting death. My war tribe just doesn't want to come out. Now, I'll let you know how powerful I am. The Golden Lion King was really angry. His opponent actually dared to look down on him and look down on the war tribe. This was something that the arrogant Golden Lion King could not tolerate. Hence, in the next moment, he roared and the golden flames on his body jumped. He instantly turned into a huge golden giant and roared towards the sky. Then, a golden flame long sword appeared in the golden giant's hand. It turned into a golden dragon and roared in the sky. "Brat, die for me!" The golden Lion King roared and swung his arm down. The golden flame long sword also slashed down. This move was Lin Xian's ultimate move, Fire God's Roar. At this moment, it was used by the golden Lion King, and its power was terrifying. Humph! Let me show you what the real Fire God's Roar is. Lin Xian coldly snorted, and the hellfire on his body quickly spread. Then, a black giant was quickly formed. Roar! The black giant roared towards the sky and let out waves of dragon roars. The surrounding mountains instantly shattered, and a terrifying black hole appeared in the sky. Lightning fell from the sky. This energy fluctuation was felt by everyone within a radius of 100,000 miles. Instantly, the 8th prince and 1st prince's people raised their heads in shock. In the next moment, their pupils shrank. That was because they saw 2 towering giants tens of thousands of miles away. They stood there as if they could reach the heavens. One was like a god of war in gold, while the other was like a demon king in darkness. Even though they were tens of thousands of miles away, they could still feel the terrifying aura. Some of the weaker ones even began to tremble uncontrollably. This was too shocking. They were all powerful geniuses. Yet, they were all trembling under such pressure. What kind of strength was this? They couldn't believe it. The people in the Grand Imperial Hall saw the 2 giant figures standing in the distance through the light screen. Then, they all sucked in a cold breath. When they saw the black giant let out a furious roar and shatter the sky, they were even more astonished. This black giant was so strong. This was Lin Xian's giant, one of his ultimate moves. He had seen it before. Many people were discussing this matter. On the other hand, the elders who supported the 1st prince had gloomy expressions. What was going on? It was obvious that the golden giant's aura had been suppressed. But how was this possible? Could it be that the golden Lion King couldn't defeat the other party? When this thought came out, they were all stunned. How was this possible? The golden Lion King was a genius of the war tribe. He was born for battle. How could there be someone he couldn't defeat? Unless it was a supreme expert, they didn't dare to believe that there was someone who could suppress the golden Lion King. The golden Lion King's expression was gloomy. He felt the aura of a dragon from the other party and was instantly shocked. What was going on? Why was there the aura of a dragon? Who was the other party? Could it be someone from the royal family? The dragon's roar. He immediately thought of the royal family. Only the royal family had the aura of a dragon and could let out a dragon's roar. However, Lin Xian wasn't from the royal family. Then why? Could it be because of his cultivation technique? The golden Lion King's expression was gloomy. He didn't expect the other party's cultivation technique to be related to dragons. So what? Even if it was related, it wasn't a real dragon. I don't believe that you can suppress me. The golden Lion King was also furious. There was a hint of madness in his cold eyes. In the next moment, the rune on his forehead flickered even more. The power of his bloodline was unleashed to the extreme. Mysterious runes revolved around him like divine runes. They were incomparably mysterious. Even the surroundings were filled with an ancient voice. His voice was very low and it shook people's souls. Buzz! When this scene appeared, the golden flames on the surface of his body suddenly blossomed. It was like a huge sun, extremely dazzling. The golden Lion King's aura rose again. As expected of a genius of the war tribe. Seeing this scene, everyone started to discuss. The crown prince heaved a sigh of relief. That's right. How could the golden Lion King be suppressed? That brat dared to fight with the golden Lion King. He would definitely be killed. It could even increase his strength. It was indeed powerful. Lin Xian was also shocked. He had to admit that the golden Lion King was indeed a difficult opponent. Its strength was incomparably terrifying. However, it was a pity that it met him. In the next moment, Lin Xian directly activated the great dragon's sword soul. Another loud dragon's roar rang out, shattering the clouds in all directions. In the next moment, the black giant clenched his fists. Countless black flames danced and turned into a huge flaming sword. However, the huge flaming sword was too shocking. It wasn't a sword at all. It was a dragon. A huge black flaming dragon was held in the hands of the black giant. The dragon's head roared towards the sky, looking extremely ferocious. Roar! On it. Even the dragon's runes could be clearly seen. Buzz! The sword slashed down, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The terrifying black dragon's sword was incomparably terrifying. It directly slashed forward, wanting to split the Golden Lion King into pieces. Die for me! On the other side, the Golden Lion King also roared. He controlled the Golden Giant and also swung the huge flaming sword. In the next moment, the two giants attacked at the same time. Two terrifying, huge swords collided in the air. Boom! Boom! This attack was extremely terrifying. It really had the aura of destruction. An extremely terrifying sword wave spread out in all directions with the two as the center. Everywhere it passed, mountains, forests, and rivers collapsed. Countless cracks appeared on the ground, extending for tens of thousands of miles. Buzz! Tens of thousands of miles away, the eighth prince, the crown prince, and the others who were fighting felt a terrifying surge of energy, causing them to have no choice but to retreat. At this moment, they simply stopped fighting and retreated to the distance to watch the battle. Because this battle was too shocking, they couldn't help but pay attention. Chapter 2178. The experts and elders in the grand imperial hall widened their eyes as they stared at the screen. Clang! Under everyone's nervous gazes, an earth-shattering sound could be heard. The huge golden flaming sword was split in half. Whoosh! The broken half fell to the ground and immediately turned into a sea of golden flames that spread in all directions. The raging flames burned fiercely, but the golden giant roared in anger. In the next moment, it was split in half by the black dragon sword. What? It was split in half. How was this possible? Everyone went crazy. On the first prince's side, the elite experts and elders all widened their eyes in disbelief. The Golden Lion King's golden giant was split in half. The Golden Lion King's pupils shrank in disbelief. His opponent actually broke his attack. How was this possible? How could his opponent be stronger than him? He couldn't believe it. He roared crazily and wanted to block it. However, he realized that the huge black dragon sword was already slashing down rapidly. It would soon engulf him. Ah, get lost! The Golden Lion King unleashed a terrifying attack. A golden armor appeared on his body and covered his entire body, only revealing a pair of cold eyes. Boom! In the next moment, the long sword slashed down. It was earth-shattering. Mountains and rivers were shattered. A terrifying wave of energy turned into a rolling light pillar that rushed into the 9 heavens. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. The earth cracked and the void collapsed. The surrounding mountains cracked and formed huge rifts. Everyone's eyelids twitched as they stared into the distance. They wanted to know how the Golden Lion King was doing. When the black dragon's sword shadow disappeared, everyone became nervous. They didn't know how the Golden Lion King was doing. Damn, brat, I'm going to kill you. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the remnant energy. This voice was filled with killing intent and didn't contain any emotions. Hearing this voice, the first prince and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They knew that this was the Golden Lion King's voice. This meant that the Golden Lion King shouldn't have suffered much damage. Bang! In the next moment, the void was torn apart and the Golden Lion King stepped out. His long golden hair danced wildly in the wind, and his handsome face seemed to have been carved by a knife. However, there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, which was exceptionally eye-catching. Not only that, when they looked down, everyone was stunned. The exquisite golden battle armor on the Golden Lion King was now filled with cracks, as if it would shatter at any moment. Not only that, but the area in front of his body caved in. There was an obvious sword mark that slashed it open. This could no longer be considered a golden armor, because large amounts of blood had dyed it red. He was injured. The Golden Lion King was actually heavily injured. Everyone was extremely shocked, not daring to believe it. On the other hand, the Golden Lion King's expression was ice cold. The rune between its eyebrows shone even brighter. Even though Zhang Xian's face was pale, the killing intent he exuded was far sharper than before. "Brat, if you dare to hurt me, I'll make you pay back tenfold." The Golden Lion King was truly enraged. He simply couldn't understand why his opponent's might was so much greater than his when they used the same martial skill. This was too illogical. One must know that the Golden Lion King had grasped a kind of divine ability. Only by combining it with the power of his bloodline would he be able to imitate other people's martial skills. Furthermore, under the effect of his bloodline, the might he imitated would far surpass his opponent's. This kind of divine ability could not only defeat his opponent's hand, but it could also shatter his opponent's confidence and martial heart. But now, the divine ability that he was so proud of had actually failed. On the opposite side, Lin Xian sneered. "Why? Are you surprised? This is just an appetizer. Next, I'll give you a surprise. Damn it, could it be that this brat still has some trump cards?" The Golden Lion King frowned. However, in the next moment, he was stunned. He had an expression as if he had seen a ghost, because he discovered that Lin Xian's palms were rapidly forming seals. A ferocious and terrifying aura was rapidly emitted from the imprint. Damn it, how is this possible? How can he use it? The Golden Lion King was truly stunned. Damn it, I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King seemed to have received a huge blow. He went crazy. Damn it, how can he use the seal of the Fearless Lion? Impossible. Fake. This must be fake. This brat is trying to confuse me. The Golden Lion King roared, trying to stabilize his emotions. However, Lin Xian sneered. Fake? Is that so? Then look at this. As he spoke, he waved his palm. The seal of the Fearless Lion was unleashed. A golden lion appeared in the air and roared towards the sky. It was extremely terrifying. Damn it. Impossible. I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King had truly gone crazy. The other party was actually able to use his divine ability. This was too unexpected. This divine ability was his battle tribe's ultimate skill. Others simply couldn't use it. However, how could the other party use it? Damn it. Could it be that this brat also knows how to imitate other people's divine ability? But how is this possible? The Golden Lion King was truly stunned. The reason why he could imitate other people's divine ability was because of his battle tribe's bloodline power. Without the bloodline power of the battle tribe, others simply couldn't use it. This was definitely not the seal of the Fearless Lion. Brat, do you think that just by imitating the shape of a lion, it's the seal of the Fearless Lion? You simply can't unleash its power and essence. The Golden Lion King roared and quickly formed seals with his palm. He also unleashed the seal of the Fearless Lion. In his opinion, Lin Xian must be trying to confuse and deceive him. That's why he used the seal of the Fearless Lion. He guessed that the other party's seal only had the shape of a lion. It didn't have the power and essence of the seal of the Fearless Lion. If that was the case, then it was nothing, because it couldn't threaten him at all. Therefore, he also used the seal of the Fearless Lion and quickly unleashed it. He wanted to shatter the other party's lion. In the sky, the two golden figures collided again and tore apart. However, very soon, the Golden Lion King screamed again. because he realized that the seal of the fearless lion he unleashed was broken by the other party. Damn it! How is this possible? The other party not only had the same shape as him, the power was even stronger than the original version he unleashed. How is this possible? How could the other party use their battle tribe's divine ability? Furthermore, the power was even stronger than his. The Golden Lion King was truly going crazy. Damn, brat, how did you do it? Who exactly are you? The Golden Lion King gritted his teeth. How did you do it? Naturally, I did it the same way. Lin Xian sneered. Impossible, I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King roared crazily. I can only do this because I have the Battle Tribe's bloodline. You're not a member of the Battle Tribe. It's even more impossible for you to have the Battle Tribe's bloodline. How did you do it? Chapter 2179. So, it was the bloodline of the War Tribe. After Lin Xian heard this, he was enlightened. Now he finally found some clues. Damn it, you actually tricked me. The Golden Lion King roared. He didn't expect that the other party was still investigating the secret of his war tribe. This made him mad. Therefore, at the next moment, he attacked again. It's useless. I know everything you know. Moreover, the power is stronger than yours. Therefore, you're not my opponent at all. Lin Xian said coldly. These were the words that the Golden Lion King had said to him before. However, he was now returning them back to them. Ah, damn it. I'm going to kill you. The Golden Lion King was mad. This was a slap to his face. He had to kill the other party in order to vent the hatred in his heart. What's wrong? Are you angry? Lin Xian sneered. Now, have a taste of my burning sky, scorching sun fist. Boom! Terrifying black flames rose on Lin Xian's fists. Then they danced quickly. Numerous black suns danced in the air, releasing terrifying heat. What he was using now was the ultimate skill that the Golden Lion King used before, the burning sky, scorching sun fist. It was also a terrifying ability of the War Tribe. At this moment, when it was used, it had the aura of destruction. Damn it! Seeing the other party using his War Tribe's ultimate skill again, the Golden Lion King was so angry that he vomited blood. Everything was out of his control. Originally, he wanted to use his bloodline power to imitate Lin Xian's ultimate skill to kill the other party. This way, he could use the most humiliating method to kill the other party. But now he realized that not only did he not succeed, but he was also defeated by the other party. Now his martial heart was about to collapse. Because the other party was too mysterious, this battle was truly too depressing. The Golden Lion King looked at Lin Xian. The other party was using his War Tribe's ultimate skill. Moreover, the other party was stronger than him. This made him mad. He roared crazily. The golden rune between his eyebrows flickered. At the next moment, he gritted his teeth and roared. Brat, I don't believe that you can copy my bloodline power. In the next moment, he used his bloodline secret skill and attacked madly. Suddenly, the power of his bloodline burst out, and a red light rushed out from his forehead. It turned into a red blood sword and slashed down madly. Bloodline sword. The long sword contained a terrifying bloodline power, and mysterious runes flickered on it. The blood-red long sword rushed out, shattering all the black suns, and quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. Whoa! Lin Xian quickly dodged and used the demigods and semi-devils. At the same time, he used the chaotic Heaven Destroyer's sword to fight back. The two sword techniques clashed fiercely in the air. Clang! It was as if a magnificent army was galloping. The blood-red longsword returned to the Golden Lion King's side and floated in front of him. On the other side, Lin Xian also snorted coldly as sword light bloomed from his body. Kid, aren't you very powerful? Attack! Make a copy of my bloodline sword. The Golden Lion King sneered again. How is it? You can't use it anymore, right? Do you think you're very powerful? You can't use the same divine ability as my bloodline power at all. The Golden Lion King sneered disdainfully. He guessed correctly. Lin Xian couldn't copy the divine ability of the bloodline power. However, he sneered at the next moment. So what if you can't copy it? Could it be that you can copy all my divine abilities? What a joke! Of course I can. The Golden Lion King was full of confidence again. You don't have bloodline power, so you don't have any secret bloodline skills. As long as it's not a divine ability formed by bloodline power, I can use it. The sword technique you used to resist my bloodline sword should be a heaven tier sword technique, right? I can also use it. The Golden Lion King snorted and quickly activated the bloodline sword beside him. Immediately, the bloodline sword soared into the sky and quickly danced in the air. It looked exactly the same as the chaotic heaven destroyer sword that Lin Xian used before. Kid, do you see that? I can also use heaven tier techniques. However, you can't copy my bloodline sword. Therefore, you will definitely die in this battle. Do you think I only have heaven tier techniques? Lin Xian's expression was cold and his eyes flickered. The Golden Lion King was right. He couldn't copy the secret technique of the bloodline power. However, so what? He also had many ultimate moves that his opponent couldn't copy. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to use his strongest trump card. He didn't want to delay any longer. He had to get rid of the person in front of him. Buzz! In the next moment, rays of golden light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. They turned into mysterious patterns and covered his entire eyeball. A pair of golden eyes emitted a mysterious aura. Golden eyes? The Golden Lion King was stunned when he saw this scene. In the next moment, he felt his hair stand on end as if he was facing a terrifying threat. Floating light. As expected, the mysterious patterns in Lin Xian's eyes revolved and he launched a powerful attack. The Golden Lion King's body trembled. His soul power suffered a strong impact as if it was going to shatter his soul. In the next moment, he screamed crazily. Anger appeared in his eyes and the flames on his body surged rapidly. Damn it! It's a soul attack. Block it for me. There was a blue necklace around the Golden Lion King's neck. It was emitting a blue radiance. This was a treasure for soul defense. It formed a powerful defense to block Lin Xian's floating light attack. However, it was useless. He underestimated Lin Xian's eye technique. If it was an ordinary eye technique, the blue necklace would definitely be able to block it. However, this was an illusion from the heavenly secret divine eyes. It was extremely terrifying. Therefore, the Golden Lion King fell for it. Boom! Seeing the scene, Lin Xian decisively made his move. The primal chaos exterminating sword slashed out quickly and ruthlessly on the Golden Lion King's body, sending him flying. Boom! 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 The sky shattered and the earth sank. The Golden Lion King coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. The armor on his body was shattered again. Many of his bones were even broken. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels were also impacted. The intense pain made him wake up from the illusion. In the next moment, he roared toward the sky. Golden radiance enveloped his body. He quickly repaired his body. At the same time, he activated the bloodline sword beside him and slashed away the remaining chaotic sword chi. Damn it! This is impossible. The Golden Lion King's face turned ugly once again. The advantage he had gained because of the bloodline sword had disappeared once again. He didn't expect his opponent to use an eye technique. Moreover, it was such a terrifying illusion. Even his soul defense treasure couldn't block it. In the next moment, he roared ferociously. But soon, a smile appeared on his face. Kid, I have to say, thank you very much for giving me such a powerful illusion attack. The Golden Lion King was too excited. If he used his bloodline power to perform such an illusion attack, he would definitely be able to heavily injure his opponent. He might even have the chance to kill his opponent. Chapter 2180. Therefore, in the next moment, the bloodline power in his body circulated crazily. His pair of blood-red eyes gradually turned golden. But soon his body trembled and he stood there in a daze. Cold sweat even flowed down his forehead. Damn it, impossible. This is impossible. Why can't I copy it? The Golden Lion King was stunned because he realized that he couldn't copy Lin Xian's eye technique at all. What's going on? The Golden Lion King didn't dare to believe it. He couldn't understand how the other party could have something that he couldn't copy. Could it be the power of bloodline? Other than the power of bloodline, he couldn't think of anything else. Because he could even copy a heaven-tier cultivation technique. Damn it, the power of bloodline. You actually have the power of bloodline. The Golden Lion King roared crazily. He originally thought that Lin Xian was just an ordinary genius and didn't have the power of bloodline. But now he realized that he was gravely mistaken. The other party actually had the power of bloodline, and it was incomparably mysterious. On the opposite side, Lin Xian saw the Golden Lion King's crazy appearance and sneered. Why, didn't you say that you can copy all my divine abilities? Now copy it and see. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Golden Lion King was so angry that he vomited blood. This was a slap to his face, and he couldn't even fight back. In the next moment, he gritted his teeth and roared. Brat, don't be too arrogant. I have soul attacks too. I can still kill you. You have it too? Is that so? Then show it and let me see. The golden runes in Lin Xian's eyes flickered like a god, incomparably mysterious. Humph, you will see it. The Golden Lion King's expression was cold. His bloodline power circulated crazily. The golden light in his eyes disappeared and was replaced by a touch of blood red. My battle race was born for battle and is incomparably powerful. Do you think my battle race doesn't have any divine abilities? Now, I will let you see it. As the Golden Lion King's voice fell, the blood-red light in his eyes became even more monstrous. It was like a sea of blood, emitting an incomparably terrifying aura. Soul Source Slash. As his voice fell, countless blood-red light bloomed in his eyes. Ka. The void in front of him shattered like a mirror. Formless energy surged in the sky, and Lin Xian also felt a threat that came from his soul surging toward him. When this energy surged out, even Lin Xian couldn't help but be shocked. Truly worthy of being a genius of the war race, this Golden Lion King was truly too frightening. In fact, he even felt that the other party could stand shoulder to shoulder with supreme beings. This war race was so mysterious. They actually had a soul-level divine ability, and it was so terrifying. Lin Xian snorted. In the next moment, the golden Tao pattern in his right eye rotated and turned into a golden flame. Ran Hun. Golden flames drifted out, formless and formless. The void instantly shattered, unable to withstand it at all. The crimson light began to burn rapidly. Huff! Huff! The golden flame was not big, but it was incomparably terrifying. In an instant, many blood-red rays of light were ignited and burned fiercely, showing signs of spreading for thousands of miles. On the other side, the Golden Lion King held its head and screamed miserably. Its eyes were blank. Roar! It gritted its teeth and waved the bloodline sword beside it, cutting off the connection between the crimson light and itself. Then it retreated thousands of miles, panting heavily. Its face was incomparably pale. As for the crimson light that was cut off, it quickly burned into ashes. Damn it, impossible! How could this be? The Golden Lion King was stunned. The other party's technique was actually stronger than his. One had to know that this soul slash was a soul attack that used its bloodline power. It could instantly slash anyone's soul. It was extremely terrifying and impossible to guard against. It was a secret technique that belonged to it. Once it was used, no one below the Supreme Being level could resist it. If a Supreme Being was accidentally hit, they would probably be seriously injured. However, Such a terrifying soul slash was actually burned into ashes, leaving nothing behind. What exactly was that golden flame of the other party? Was it a soul flame condensed from an eye technique? The Golden Lion King was extremely shocked. Even the soul flame of a supreme being wasn't that terrifying, unless it was the soul flame of an invincible king. However, the other party was obviously not an invincible king. In fact, he was just a 6-star king like it. No matter how strong the soul power was, how strong could it be? Why was the soul flame so terrifying? Could it be that it wasn't the soul flame? Then what was it? The Golden Lion King's face was incomparably ugly. However, in the next moment, all the hair on its body stood up, because it realized that the golden flame was quickly floating towards it. Its soul felt threatened. The Golden Lion King's face instantly turned green. If it was enveloped by this thing, its soul would probably be ignited. At that time, even if it didn't die, it would be seriously injured. Moreover, it would be an injury that would be very difficult to recover from. Damn it! The Golden Lion King was like a golden lightning, constantly dodging and teleporting in the air. However, the golden flame seemed to be staring at it. No matter how it dodged, it couldn't escape. Bloodline sword. Kill it for me. There was no other way. The Golden Lion King could only activate the bloodline sword beside it. Whoosh! The bloodline sword bloomed with runes and turned into a bolt of lightning. It instantly flew out and slashed on the golden flame. Boom! This attack was too terrifying. The explosive energy directly blew up everything. The bloodline sword was indeed mysterious and incomparably terrifying. It contained the bloodline power of the war tribe. Therefore, even if the golden flame was summoned by the Tianji divine eyes, it was still affected. The golden flame on it was somewhat dim. However, the bloodline sword wasn't in a good state either. The blood-colored light on it was flickering like boiling water. It was about to be ignited. The blood-colored light quickly slashed the entire bloodline sword, as if it was about to melt. Seeing this scene, the Golden Lion King's face turned ugly. It roared crazily. Damn it, how could it be like this? This was impossible. It knew how powerful the bloodline sword was. There was absolutely nothing that could block it. However, the golden flame was actually able to block it. Damn it, kill it for me. The Golden Lion King roared crazily and poured all its bloodline power into the sword. Immediately, the bloodline sword bloomed with a strange light. However, on the other side, Lin Xian also activated the Tianji divine eyes. The mysterious runes flickered with golden light. The golden flame also became stronger. Boom, 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 boom. The flame flickered, able to ignite the bloodline sword. There was no other way. Seeing that the bloodline sword was about to melt, the Golden Lion King gritted its teeth and a trace of madness appeared in its eyes. Block it for me. It roared and directly detonated the bloodline sword. Immediately, the bloodline sword exploded, turning into a blood-colored energy ball and spreading in all directions. The area within a radius of 10,000 miles was instantly covered by the blood-colored energy ball, and it was still continuing. 10,000 miles, 20,000 miles, 30,000 miles. Soon, 50,000 miles was completely covered. Please recommend, vote, subscribe, collect, tip. Chapter 2181. The eighth prince, the first prince, and the others also felt their scalps go numb as they frantically retreated. Once again, they retreated 70,000 li away, their faces filled with fear. The area in front of them was completely covered by the blood-colored energy. They couldn't see clearly at all. The royal elders and experts in the Grand Imperial Hall all frowned and cried out in alarm. They couldn't see the details of the previous battle clearly. Therefore, they didn't know that the Golden Lion King had used the bloodline sword. They also didn't know that Lin Xian had used the heavenly secret divine eyes. Otherwise, they would have gone even crazier than now. They could only see a blood-colored energy ball covering a radius of 50,000 li. The terrifying scene caused them to be extremely shocked. However, they couldn't figure out what kind of attack it was. The blood-colored energy ball lasted for a long time before it gradually faded away. Then, the world regained its clarity, and the berserk energy also gradually disappeared. However, the eighth prince and the others didn't dare to approach at all. They could only wait in bewilderment. In front of them, the Golden Lion King's armor was mostly shattered. His hair was disheveled, and he looked extremely miserable. Blood flowed from his body. It was abnormally red. He frantically made the bloodline sword explode and finally blocked the golden flame. However, he also suffered from the impact and was heavily injured. On the other side, the dragon's sword domain on Lin Xian's body slowly dispersed. The black armor on his body was also mostly shattered. Blood also flowed from the corner of his mouth. The impact from before had also injured him. At this moment, he took out a few elixirs and quickly consumed them. The longevity art in his body quickly circulated and healed his injuries. Although he was injured, his eyes were incomparably sharp. Damn it, how is this possible? This is impossible. On the other side, the Golden Lion King crazily roared. He stared at Lin Xian and looked at the golden eyes. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. Could it be that this was some kind of a technique? Heavenly secret divine eyes. You're from the heavenly secret race. The Golden Lion King's pupils shrank. The heavenly secret race was an even more mysterious race than the war race. However, the heavenly secret race was also at the peak of the ancient era. They had already been extinct for tens of thousands of years. There might not even be a single heavenly secret race member alive in the entire continent. However, his golden eyes were simply too similar to the legendary heavenly fate god eyes. The Golden Lion King could not help but be suspicious of its might. Damn it! Just what is your relationship with the Heavens legacy race? Are you from the Heavens legacy race? The Golden Lion King had a malevolent expression. As for Lin Xian, he was frowning. Had he been recognized? Sure enough, the golden eyes were too eye-catching. This Golden Lion King should have guessed it. But since that was the case, Lin Xian pulled out the 9 nether devil sword, his body emitting a terrifying killing intent. Since you've guessed it, I can't let you live. Killing intent surfaced in Lin Xian's eyes. He had decided to kill this Golden Lion King. Although it was very risky and might incur the wrath of the heavens, he could not let the news of him possessing the heavenly secret godly eyes spread out. Otherwise, he would become the enemy of the entire world. He was afraid that the people from the Tai dynasty would also attack him. After all, the heavenly secret divine eyes was an extremely mysterious eye. It was rumored that it was related to the reincarnation sword. Regardless of whether the legend was true or not, the power of the heavenly secret divine eyes was enough to drive everyone crazy. Want to kill me? Not so easy. The Golden Lion King snorted. He was very sure that his opponent's eyes were the legendary heavenly secret divine eyes. He never thought that he would encounter the heavenly secret divine eyes one day. Brat, I never thought that you would have the heavenly secret divine eyes. Since that's the case, I won't let you go. If I get your eyes, perhaps no one in the world will be my match. Maybe I'll be lucky enough to obtain information related to the reincarnation sword. The Golden Lion King laughed crazily. He took out countless treasures from his storage ring and consumed them without any regard for his life. Right now, he needed to quickly heal his injuries and kill Lin Xian. Whoosh! Brat, I admit that you're very powerful and have the heavenly secret divine eyes. But if I fight with my life on the line, you're definitely not my match. Speaking until here, the bloodline power in his body began to burn. A scarlet flame wrapped around him. Boom! The Golden Lion King's power and aura erupted once again. At this moment, he was extremely terrifying even surpassing the peak experts, burning his bloodline power. At this moment, everyone could feel the aura emitted by the Golden Lion King. The first prince and the others were extremely shocked. The royal elders also felt their scalps go numb. What kind of situation did the Golden Lion King encounter? Why did he have to burn his bloodline power? This was a desperate fight. Even if he managed to kill his opponent, he would be severely injured. His cultivation might even drop. He might even need to spend hundreds or thousands of years to recover. However, the Golden Lion King actually burned his bloodline power without any regard for anything else. Could it be that Lin Xian was already so powerful? Lin Xian also frowned. He never thought that the Golden Lion King would be so crazy. He didn't hesitate to burn his bloodline power and burn his life to snatch the heavenly secret divine eyes. It seemed like his prediction was right. He had to kill the Golden Lion King. Otherwise, when the other experts got the news, they would probably hunt him down at all costs. Buzz! Buzz! The power of the Golden Lion King's bloodline burned and turned into 18 ancient runes, protecting his head. Brat, it's useless. Your heavenly secret divine eyes won't be able to hurt me this time. The Golden Lion King coldly snorted. 18 incomparably ancient runes ignited the power of its bloodline and protected its head, which also meant that it was protecting its soul. Without the heavenly secret divine eyes, let's see what you can use to fight me. Boom! Support the original version. Fight the pirates. Speaking until here, the Golden Lion King's aura burst out. Then he quickly charged over. In an instant, he arrived in front of Lin Xian. The golden fist in his hand was wrapped in blood-red flames and fiercely punched out. At this moment, the Golden Lion King's strength increased by several times. There was no helping it. The burning of his bloodline power was too terrifying. Boom! The original version will win. The pirates will die. Lin Xian was forced back. The black battle armor on his body was completely shattered. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His face was incomparably gloomy. Ha ha ha, did you see that, brat? You can't even block one of my punches. Now obediently die for me. Seeing that he had forced his opponent back with one punch, the Golden Lion King laughed proudly again. He didn't dare to delay. After all, what he burned was his bloodline power. Therefore, in the next moment, he turned into lightning and charged over again. He wanted to use the fastest time to finish off his opponent. Lin Xian's eyes were cold. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He used the two secret techniques, floating light and soul ignition. The golden light in his eyes burst out and swept out. However, it was blocked by the opponent's 18 ancient runes. Indeed, under the effect of the Golden Lion King burning his bloodline power, it finally blocked his heavenly secret divine eyes. Unless Lin Xian also burned his soul power, he might be able to kill his opponent. However, Lin Xian wouldn't do that. It seemed that he had no choice but to use that move. Chapter 2182. Unless Lin Xian also desperately burned his soul power, he might be able to kill the other party. However, Lin Xian would not do that. It seemed that he had no choice but to use that move. After being blasted back again, Lin Xian clenched his fist and quickly formed a seal. Immediately, a loud dragon roar rushed out from his body. Buzz! At the same time, the dragon's sword domain spread out, covering a radius of 10,000 miles. The sword chi it emitted blocked everyone's view. King domain against me? It's useless, kid. Your domain is no threat to me. Seeing Lin Xian use the king domain to cover a radius of 10,000 miles, the Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. Lin Xian's expression was cold as he floated in the sky. He did not answer the other party, nor did he plan to use the dragon's sword domain to kill the other party. He planned to use the dragon's sword soul in his body to kill the other party. Buzz! Therefore, he wanted to use the king domain to block the view of others. After all, the dragon sword soul was comparable to the heavenly secret divine eyes. It was more mysterious. It was something that could make people go crazy. If the secret of him having the dragon sword soul was leaked, it would not only affect the entire central continent, but also the entire true spirit world. Everyone in the 5 continents would desperately hunt him down. Those invincible kings were no exception. Perhaps even the sages would come out to kill him and seize the dragon's sword soul. A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared in front of Lin Xian, emitting a terrifying aura. It was as if a divine dragon had appeared in the world. Boom! 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 A deep dragon roar sounded, and the surrounding space shattered. It could not withstand this energy at all. A terrifying sword aura rushed into the sky. On the opposite side, the Golden Lion King was extremely shocked. He stopped moving, and a bloody light surrounded his body as he looked ahead in shock. He did not expect Lin Xian to have other trump cards other than the heavenly secret divine eyes. Moreover, this energy fluctuation was even more terrifying than the heavenly secret divine eyes. What was that? The Golden Lion King looked ahead with a gloomy face. He discovered that there was a dragon-shaped sword shadow in front of him. It was very ferocious, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as if it was going to break through the sky. This was the Golden Lion King was shocked. Suddenly, the burning red flames on its body began to surge and jump as if it had become crazy. Not only that, but all the flames danced forward as if they wanted to kneel down and worship their king. What was going on? The Golden Lion King was stunned. Lin Xian was also stunned. How could such a thing happen to the other party? Could this be related to the great dragon's sword soul? In the distance, the Golden Lion King was even more astonished. That was because it was not only the red flames on his body. The bloodline power in his body was also rapidly pulsating like a war drum, abnormally rumbling. In the end, it was even about to leave his body. Damn it, what's going on? How could my bloodline power have changed? The Golden Lion King was stupefied. He had never encountered such an unforeseen change in the power of his bloodline. In the next moment, he suddenly raised his head and stared straight ahead. Could it be that it was because of that sword shadow? He swallowed his saliva in disbelief. However, the only thing that could make his bloodline power tremble so crazily was probably that thing. Damn it! How could the other party have such a thing? The Golden Lion King did not dare to believe it. Their war tribe had been searching for it for tens of thousands of years, but they could not find it. How could it be in the hands of a brat? The Golden Lion King felt his breathing become hurried, and his blood was boiling. He was simply too shocked. That thing was even more terrifying than the heavenly secret divine eyes, an even more terrifying existence. It was also what their war tribe had been searching for all this time. Great Dragon Sword. Damn it, you actually have the Great Dragon Sword. The Golden Lion King finally gritted his teeth and roared. Lin Xian's brows twitched, and his face was filled with astonishment. He did not expect that the other party would recognize his great dragon, sword soul, the moment it appeared. How was this possible? Could it be that the Golden Lion King knew so much about the great dragon sword? Or could it be that he knew about the great dragon sword? You actually know about the great dragon sword? This is really unexpected. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. The Golden Lion King snorted coldly, and a trace of madness appeared in its eyes. Brat, I have to say, you have given me too many surprises. You have the heavenly secret divine eyes, a heaven-defying eye technique. Now, you even have the great dragon sword soul. I don't know how the great dragon sword soul ended up in your body. However, you don't deserve to have such a sacred item. This is something that belongs to our war tribe. Now hand it over obediently. Otherwise, I will let you die an ugly death. Something that belongs to your war tribe? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned even more. What was going on? How was the war tribe related to the great dragon sword? He was extremely surprised because the corpse of the fourth generation successor of the dragon sword was in black earth. Now that he had obtained the great dragon sword soul, logically speaking, he should be the fifth generation successor of the great dragon sword. However, what was the relationship with the war tribe? Could it be that someone from the war tribe had obtained the great dragon sword before? Was it the second generation successor or the third generation successor? Or was there some other reason? Lin Xian did not know. When he asked He Tu also shook his head. He had never heard of the war tribe being related to the great dragon sword. Humph! Thus, Lin Xian snorted coldly. I don't care what relationship your war tribe has with the great dragon sword, but now it belongs to me. What a load of nonsense. Belongs to you? Brat, you are too reckless. The Golden Lion King roared. Our war tribe was born for battle. This great dragon sword was born to belong to us. Since you are not willing to hand it over obediently, then don't blame me for being impolite. In the next moment, he ignited his bloodline power again and charged over crazily. Boom! The Golden Lion King tore through the void and arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. He stretched out his 5 fingers, and a blood-red palm grabbed at the dragon-shaped sword shadow. He wanted to snatch it away. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. You dare to snatch my dragon-shaped sword shadow? You are courting death. He grabbed the dragon-shaped sword shadow and let out a resonant dragon roar. With a swing of his sword, a terrifying dragon-shaped sword chi tore through the void and slashed at the Golden Lion King. Buzz! The Golden Lion King dodged rapidly and appeared on the other side of Lin Xian in an instant. At the same time, both of his hands quickly formed seals. One after another, mysterious and simple runes flew out from his fingertips. At the same time, he let out a series of strange syllables. It was as if he was speaking from the outer world. Buzz! As if it was affected, the dragon-shaped sword shadow in Lin Xian's hand also let out a dragon roar. What was going on? He was actually able to affect the great dragon sword soul. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. This was the first time he encountered such a thing. However, in the next moment, he grabbed the great dragon sword soul, and the energy in his body quickly circulated. Instantly, the connection was severed. Soon after, the sword chi swept out again. Bang! This time, the Golden Lion King was directly sent flying by the sword chi. A huge sword wound appeared on its body. Fresh blood flowed out crazily, and it was almost split into 2. As for his expression, it was also one of extreme fear. Chapter 2183. The Golden Lion King was directly sent flying by the sword chi, and a huge sword wound appeared on his body. Blood flowed wildly, and he was almost cut in half. As for his expression, it was also one of extreme fear. Damn it! This is impossible. How can you cut off my connection with the great dragon sword soul? The Golden Lion King was too shocked because their war tribe had a mysterious connection with the great dragon sword. The seal and the strange syllables he sent out before were all used to communicate with the great dragon sword. Although it was his first time using it, it was an ancient record of their war tribe, and it couldn't be wrong. Moreover, the great dragon sword soul also sent out a loud sound as if it was responding. Originally, he thought that he could control the great dragon sword soul, but he didn't expect that his connection would be cut off in an instant. The other party was actually able to completely control the great dragon sword soul. How was this possible? He didn't dare to believe it. The next moment, he gritted his teeth and frantically used this secret technique, wanting to communicate with the great dragon sword soul. But this time it failed. Lin Xian and the great dragon sword soul seemed to have merged into one, and he continuously sent out dragon-shaped sword chi, cutting through the surroundings. This caused the Golden Lion King to continuously retreat, and he vomited large mouthfuls of blood. How is this possible? I don't believe it. How did you completely subdue the great dragon Sword Soul? The Golden Lion King was really crazy. He had learned about the great dragon Sword Soul's mysteriousness from the ancient records of the war tribe. That was an offensive saint technique between heaven and earth, and whoever grasped it would be able to obtain the strongest power. However, the more violent the power, the harder it was to control. It was rumored that even saints couldn't completely control it. But now this kid, a 6-star king, was actually able to completely control the great dragon Sword Soul. He didn't dare to believe it. Damn it, this can't be real. The Golden Lion King gritted his teeth and roared, but the next moment he turned around and fled. His speed was extremely fast. Because he didn't plan to continue fighting, he wanted to return. He wanted to leave this place and return to his family. He wanted the war tribe to send out countless experts to snatch the great dragon Sword Soul. He definitely couldn't let the great dragon Sword Soul fall into the hands of others. Buzz! The Golden Lion King turned around and fled. His speed was extremely fast. "Want to leave?" Lin Xian coldly snorted and quickly waved the dragon-shaped sword in his hand. At the same time, he activated the dragon's sword domain around him and sent out streams of sword chi to form a sword net cage, sealing off the space and preventing the Golden Lion King from escaping. He had already used 2 of his trump cards, completely exposing his identity and secret. How could he allow the other party to escape? Pung! The dragon-shaped sword in his hand slashed out a terrifying sword chi. It tore through the void and instantly enveloped the Golden Lion King. Roar! The Golden Lion King was so scared that his scalp went numb. All the hair on his body stood up, because this sword chi was simply too terrifying. In the next moment, a hint of madness appeared in his eyes as he quickly cut open his palm. Countless runes condensed in his palm, accompanied by a stream of scarlet blood. Boom! This was a secret magic formed by his bloodline power. Behind him, a bloody figure took his place. Pung! The bloody man was split into 2 halves by the sword. As for the Golden Lion King, it appeared 1,000 miles away. It was in an extremely sorry state, but it was running away as if it had gone mad. He dodged it? Seeing this scene, Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect the Golden Lion King to have so many secret skills. It was actually able to dodge his dragon-shaped sword chi. This really surprised him. However, this made it even more impossible for him to let the other party leave. In the next moment, he gathered the energy in his body again and prepared to launch the second dragon-shaped sword chi. However, at this moment, the dragon's sword domain around him trembled rapidly. It turned into a torrential sword light and flew toward the Golden Lion King. Scram! Support the original version. Fight against piracy. The Golden Lion King roared toward the sky. It burned its bloodline power again, without caring about the price. It formed a blood-colored lion and directly shattered the void. Buzz! The Golden Lion King stepped into the blood-colored whirlpool and appeared a few thousand miles away again. The moment he appeared, he ran for his life. That was the Golden Lion King. He came out. He was fine. In the distance, the first prince and the others looked into the distance and were extremely shocked. They didn't expect the Golden Lion King to be the first to come out. Could it be that he won? Thinking of this, the first prince laughed crazily and was extremely excited. That's great. The Golden Lion King won and killed that brat. In this way, they could join hands and kill the 8th prince. On the 8th prince's side, his face was incomparably ugly. If Lin Xian was killed, they would no longer have any chance of winning. The 8th prince's face was even more gloomy. He shook his head crazily. Impossible, Brother Lin couldn't be killed. Lin Xian was extremely powerful. He didn't believe that the Golden Lion King could kill him. Pung! The original version will win. The pirated version will die. In the next moment, the void in the distance shattered. Following that, a figure quickly appeared. It was Lin Xian. Baleful aura surrounded his body. A terrifying sword light covered a radius of more than 10 meters, forming a sword Dao world. Others couldn't see it clearly. He did this because he wanted to hide the heavenly secret divine eyes and the great dragon sword spirit. When his aura appeared, the eighth prince and the others exclaimed, "Lin Xian!" It was Lin Xian. Lin Xian also came out. He didn't die, that's great. The eighth prince's side was excited. On the other hand, the first prince's side was gloomy. Damn it, what's going on? This brat didn't die. This was far beyond their expectations. At this moment, even the royal elders and almighty experts in the Grand Imperial Hall were extremely surprised. Previously, they could only see the terrifying energy shock waves. Now, they could finally see the two figures. However, these two people were too mysterious. One of them was shrouded in a blood-red light, and it was hard to tell him apart. The other was shrouded in a sharp sword chi, and it was also hard to see him clearly. However, they could still distinguish who was who. The one with blood-red aura was naturally the Golden Lion King. That blood-red aura should be the power of bloodline. The one with monstrous sword chi was naturally Lin Xian. After all, he was an incomparably terrifying swordsman. But soon they were stunned, because after Lin Xian came out, he shouted coldly, "Want to leave? Do you think you can leave?" As he spoke, a terrifying sword light shot out rapidly, forming a huge dragon in the air and surging forward. Damn it! The blood-red figure in front roared and struck out a huge blood-red palm. It was like the palm of a Buddha, fiercely slapping towards the void. Boom! Heaven and earth shook. The blood-red palm slapped on the terrifying sword chi, forming a huge energy storm. But soon the blood-red palm was cut open. Countless blood surged in all directions. The Golden Lion King coldly snorted and turned around to escape. What's going on? The Golden Lion King escaped? The almighty experts on the first prince's side were all dumbfounded. Even the first prince's mouth twitched and his face turned gloomy. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal elders were even more shocked. Heavens, did the Golden Lion King lose? Why did it escape? To be honest, they were really confused. They didn't know what was going on. The eighth prince's side was also stunned. Chapter 2184. To be honest, they were all confused. They had no idea what was going on. The eighth prince's side was also stunned. Previously, they were worried that Lin Xian would be killed. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. The one at a disadvantage was definitely the Golden Lion King. Otherwise, with his character and identity, it would be impossible for him to escape. Today, you won't be able to escape. Behind him, Lin Xian used Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and chased after him with extreme speed. The two of them were very fast and disappeared into the void in an instant. Damn it, chase after them. The first prince roared angrily and led his men to quickly catch up. The eighth prince waved his hand and said, "Let's go and support Brother Lin." They were too excited. As long as they could defeat the Golden Lion King, their side would win for sure. Therefore, these people all soared into the sky and chased after them. In an instant, a great chase began. Inside the Grand Imperial Palace, these people looked at the flickering figure on the screen in a daze. At this moment, the royal elders, experts, and the other princes were all stunned. They didn't dare to believe it. The incomparably powerful genius of the war tribe, the Golden Lion King, was actually being chased. Moreover, he was being chased by a 6-star king. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. The queen's face was so gloomy that it was terrifying. Killing intent surged out from her body. Inside her sleeves, a pair of jade-like hands were clenched tightly. Damn it, how could it be? How could it be? How could the Golden Lion King be chased? She was about to go crazy because she couldn't accept the fact in front of her eyes. That was the Golden Lion King. He was a genius of the war tribe. His strength was terrifying. With the power of his bloodline, no one below the realm of supreme experts could suppress him, not to mention defeating him. But now, the Golden Lion King was actually running for his life. It was as if he had gone crazy and even burned his bloodline power. This meant that the Golden Lion King was defeated. Moreover, he lost miserably. Otherwise, he wouldn't be running. He couldn't understand what kind of technique or ability could defeat the Golden Lion King. On the other side, the Golden Lion King frowned and ran for his life. However, he was incomparably shocked because he realized that Lin Xian was following closely behind him. He couldn't escape. Pum! Lin Xian slashed out with his sword, imbued with the power of the great dragon sword spirit, emitting a bright light. It was like a streak of divine red, releasing a terrifying power. Pum! This sword was powerful and heavy. It was like the roar of a giant dragon as it charged forward. Instantly, a part of the sky exploded. Whoosh! Pum! The Golden Lion King dodged with extreme speed, wanting to avoid this sword. However, he was still swept through by the sword wave. He was immediately sent flying, shattering the void, shattering the great earthquake below. Kill! Lin Xian's figure flickered, holding the dragon heart sword shadow in his hand as he charged downwards. Boom! Boom! The terrifying sword light completely submerged the ground below. Suddenly, the ground was struck down, forming a bottomless black hole. As for the Golden Lion King, it ignited its bloodline power without any regard for its life and soared into the sky. However, the injuries on his body were even more terrifying. There were 5 or 6 sword wounds on his back, and each of them revealed deep white bones. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a genius of the war race and had a strong physique, as well as the power of his bloodline, the sword chi would have already torn him to pieces. Even so, he was still severely injured. Right now, he was only able to escape by igniting his life force without paying any price. In the distance, the first prince and the 8th prince led their experts and flew rapidly. However, their speed wasn't as fast as the two of them. Hence, they were tens of thousands of miles away from them. However, these people were also rushing with all their might. When they sensed the scene in front of them, they were all stunned. However, in the next moment, they sensed that Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King had left their range of perception again. This won't do. First Prince, the two of them are too fast. We can't keep up. Even if we can't, we have to keep up. We have to pay attention to them. We can't lose them. The first prince roared crazily. The key to success or failure this time was the Golden Lion King. He definitely couldn't let anything happen to the Golden Lion King. On the other side, the 8th prince's expression was also grave. He didn't say anything and only used all his strength to activate his dragon aura, enveloping everyone as he flew rapidly. In front, the Golden Lion King's face was incomparably pale. He had already suffered great injuries and could die at any time. Thinking of this, he roared crazily. "Damn brat, you dare to kill me? You're dead. I'm from the war race. If you kill me, the war race won't let you off." Behind him, Lin Xian sneered. He didn't slow down at all. "Threatening me? Do you think I'll be afraid? Since you know my secret, I won't let you off." Damn it. The Golden Lion King's expression was crazed. The other party actually wasn't threatened at all. It really drove him crazy. However, he snorted again. "You better think carefully. If you kill me, not to mention the war race, even the Tai dynasty won't let you off. They will definitely capture you and hand you over to the war race. Moreover, as long as my war race gives you the conditions, the entire world will crazily hunt you down. Humph. Support the original version. Pirates must die." Lin Xian snorted coldly. The dragon-shaped sword chi in his hand slashed out again. slashing towards the Golden Lion King. Ah! This time, the Golden Lion King didn't dodge. Half of its body was enveloped by the dragon-shaped sword Qi and instantly turned into dust. Blood crazily flowed, piercing through the void. The mountain below collapsed. The Golden Lion King struggled crazily with a malevolent expression. Because it was too painful, half of its body was completely hacked apart. The terrifying sword Qi still filled the remaining part of its body. Pain, madness, shock, fear, all kinds of emotions filled it. As a genius of the war race, it had never suffered such a serious injury. Moreover, it was in danger of being killed at any time. "Kid, die for me!" The Golden Lion King's expression was crazed. It discovered that the half of its body that was hacked apart couldn't be healed. After all, it knew the aura of the great dragon sword spirit. It was impossible for it to resist that kind of power. Therefore, it decided to risk its life. "Kid, so what if you kill me? I want you to die. You must die. I want you and the great dragon sword spirit to be buried with me." The Golden Lion King had really gone crazy. It decided to use its own life as the price to kill the other party. In the next moment, the remaining half of its body burned fiercely. The power of its bloodline was ignited, releasing an incomparable power. At this moment, the Golden Lion King's aura rose without limit. "It's over." Lin Xian also took a deep breath. Soon after, he kept the 9 underworld devil sword. He pulled out the broken ancient sword, and a monstrous power surged out from the ancient sword. Heaven-ranked treasure sword. Seeing this scene, the Golden Lion King's pupils shrank. "This is your heavenly treasure." It was incomparably frightened. It turned around and fled. What a joke! It didn't even have the thought of risking its life. An extremely expensive treasure sword in addition to the great dragon sword spirit. It was impossible for it to block it. Chapter 2185. He was terrified as he turned around and fled. What a joke! He didn't even have the thought of risking his life. He definitely wouldn't be able to block the priceless sword and the great dragon sword soul. Buzz! With a slash of the sword, heaven and earth were shattered. The heaven-grade sword was too sharp. It instantly took away half of Lin Xian's strength. The power of the great dragon sword soul covered the sword. The aura of the dragon sword soul burst out and shrouded the Golden Lion King. No! A miserable cry rang out. Then, an infinite amount of sword Qi burst out. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, huge sword Qi pierced through the clouds. Boom! 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 Behind them, the first prince saw this scene and roared crazily. "Stop!" They stopped tens of thousands of miles away and looked ahead. Their faces were extremely ugly. The 8th prince's side also stopped. They carefully floated in the void because the power in front was too terrifying. It was enough to destroy them. Therefore, they didn't dare to move forward. They could only wait far behind. In front, the huge sword Qi was still there, covering the heaven and earth. At this moment, a figure walked out from the torrential sword Qi. "Lin Xian! It's Lin Xian! It's that brat!" Everyone exclaimed. Then they looked at each other again. But soon they were stunned. Where's the Golden Lion King? Why didn't the Golden Lion King come out? They didn't know, but no one dared to move forward because the sword Qi was still there. Lin Xian held the demonic sword and walked towards the first prince. At the same time he said coldly, "8th prince, it's time to deal with them." "What?" The first prince was shocked. His god empress's powerful figures were also shocked. What's going on? Is he going to take action now? Could it be that the Golden Lion King was killed? The 8th prince was also puzzled. He subconsciously asked, "Brother Lin, that Golden Lion King won't come out to fight against us again, right?" "Don't worry, he won't come out again," Lin Xian said coldly. The first prince and the others were shocked. What does he mean? Won't come out again? They looked ahead, bewildered. However, the light in front of them was so bright that they couldn't see clearly. But at this moment, Lin Xian. He used the chaotic sky-splitting sword, and the terrifying sword technique instantly surged forward. Kill! The eighth prince's side also roared and attacked. Damn it, block for me! Block it for me! The first prince roared furiously as the King Realm experts around him attacked with all their might. A great battle broke out once again. However, everyone was confused, especially the elders in the Grand Imperial Hall. All of them frowned, because until now, the sword chi had yet to disappear, and the Golden Lion King's silhouette had yet to appear. Could it be that the Golden Lion King was trapped inside? Their eyes flickered, but for now they could only focus on the battle. Because this was the final battle, who would become the Crown Prince? The situation of the Crown Prince was not looking good. Without the Golden Lion King, there was probably no one who could resist Lin Xian. That was indeed the case. However, after such a long battle, Lin Xian shouldn't have much strength left. I hope so. I wonder if the first prince and the others will be able to hold on. Sounds of discussion could be heard. Everyone was discussing spiritedly. The other prince's eyes flickered. To be honest, from the current situation, the one who had the highest chance of becoming the crown prince was actually the eighth prince. When such a conclusion appeared, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. They couldn't believe it, because before this, everyone thought that the first prince was the one who had the highest chance of becoming the crown prince. But now that might not be the case. The Empress' face was gloomy. She was clenching her teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. The scene in front of her was very unfavorable for the first prince. Also, the Golden Lion King's situation made her even more confused. Why didn't he come out? Could it be that he was trapped? But what kind of array could trap the Golden Lion King? From the beginning to the end, these people, including the Empress, never thought that the Golden Lion King would be killed. Because, in their opinion, no one would dare to touch the Golden Lion King. At most, they would injure him. However, it was impossible to kill the Golden Lion King, not to mention Lin Xian. Even they, the imperial family, did not dare to kill the Golden Lion King, because the Golden Lion King was from the war race. Moreover, he was a peerless genius of the war race. Killing him was equivalent to enraging the war race. With the terror of the war race, no one could withstand it. Boom! Support the original. Start with you. A terrifying battle erupted. The first prince's side was forced to retreat, although there were many almighties besieging Lin Xian. They even wanted to exhaust Lin Xian's strength. However, they realized that Lin Xian's strength did not weaken at all. It was as if the strength in his body was inexhaustible. It was shocking. How could they know that Lin Xian had many heavenly treasures in his hands? He could definitely recover quickly. Moreover, the miraculous art of longevity was far beyond their imagination. Therefore, this battle was completely one-sided. With Lin Xian's participation, the eighth prince's side fought more and more fiercely. In the end, the almighties around the first prince were sent flying one by one. In the end, there were only 2 elite almighties around the first prince. As for the first prince, many cracks appeared on his body. Even his tough battle armor was shattered. It's over. The first prince lost. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. The royal elders, the almighties, and the other princes were all shocked. The queen's face was terrifyingly gloomy. The murderous intent in her eyes pierced through the void. On the other hand, the emperor at the side said lightly. His eyes flickered. No one could tell whether he was happy, angry, or sad. However, one could guess that he was also very surprised. The first prince led 2 almighties and fought back crazily. However, in the end, they could not escape the fate of being eliminated. In the end, the eighth prince was the only one who managed to stay in the second round. As for him, he had obtained all the jade talismans and king tokens. We won. We actually won. The almighties around the eighth prince were all extremely excited. They laughed crazily. Lu Fei, Duan Qingqing, and the other young elites were extremely excited. They could not believe that they had won in the end. Taoist Master Long and the Lord of the Underworld gasped. To be honest, they did not expect this to be the outcome. Although the eighth prince was powerful before, there was still a certain gap between him and the first prince. They were not confident that they could become the crown prince in the end. However, with the help of Lin Xian, they managed to defeat the first prince and clinch the final victory. The eighth prince trembled with excitement. He came in front of Lin Xian, grabbed Lin Xian's shoulder, and shouted happily, "Brother Lin won. I won. I'm the crown prince. Ha ha ha. Congratulations, eighth prince." Lin Xian said with a smile, "Congratulations, eighth prince. Congratulations, eighth prince." Taoist Master Long, the Lord of the Underworld, Duan Qingqing, Lu Fei, and the others also cheered. However, at this time, Taoist Master Long smiled. "We should change our words and congratulate the crown prince." Chapter 2186. Congratulations to the crown prince. The elders and princes who supported the eighth prince in the grand imperial hall clapped their hands and laughed when they saw the scene on the screen. They were too excited. King Valurium was shocked when he saw the screen. To be honest, he did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. Moreover, he had played such a big role. On the other side, the elders who supported De Huanzi were ashen-faced. The other Huanzi had different expressions on their faces. The fourth prince sighed. "I didn't expect that the final winner would be the eighth prince. We didn't guess it at all." That's right. Lin Xian was simply too powerful. He had managed to turn the tide of the battle single-handedly. Obtaining one person was equivalent to obtaining the world. Previously, they had thought that it was a legend. They did not expect such a person to exist. The fourth prince was still fine. He was just lamenting. On the other hand, the third prince was furious. He never thought that the eighth prince would actually become the final victor. He could not accept it. If the first prince was the final winner, he could accept it. After all, the first prince was stronger than him. However, the eighth prince was the final winner. A prince who was on par with him in terms of strength had now become the crown prince. This was the most unacceptable thing to him. It was not a problem to be defeated by someone who was better than him. However, he could not accept being surpassed by someone who was on par with him. That was how the third prince felt. However, there was nothing he could do even if he wanted to vomit blood. Moreover, he knew that the eighth prince's status would be different from now on. He was the crown prince and was above him. He could not take revenge. However, the same could not be said for the other person. "Lin Xian, I will not let you go." The third prince's eyes were cold. Lin Xian was strong, but he was only a young genius. Moreover, he would not stay by the eighth prince's side for the rest of his life. As long as Lin Xian left the palace, the third prince could definitely send a peerless expert to kill him. He sneered when he thought of this. He felt that there was no need for him to do anything. The first prince should be even more furious than him. With the first prince's status and the empress's background, how could he let this kid go? "Let's see how you'll die this time." The third prince sneered. The crown prince was indeed furious. As soon as he was teleported out, he roared at the sky. His entire being was like a killing god, and his body was filled with killing intent. To be honest, his lungs were about to explode from anger. He had actually lost. He never thought that he would lose the competition and let the eighth prince take the position of crown prince. This was something he had never dreamed of. The surrounding powerful beings shook their heads and sighed. They had not expected this either. The first prince was the empress child. His strength was incomparably terrifying. Adding on the fact that he had the war race's genius, how could such a person lose? But in the end he was defeated. He had lost to the eighth prince. It had to be said that the eighth prince was definitely the biggest dark horse. Damn it. Support the original, kill the pirated version. Lin Xian, I will definitely kill you. I will never let you off. The first prince gritted his teeth. In his opinion, his failure was due to Lin Xian. If not for Lin Xian, he would definitely not have lost. Thinking of this, the first prince looked around. Around him, there were many powerful beings who were teleported out together with him. These people shook their heads and sighed. Their faces were ashen. However, the first prince frowned and asked coldly, "Where's the Golden Lion King?" Hearing this, everyone was bewildered. Then they turned around and found that the Golden Lion King was not around. What was going on? These powerful beings were puzzled. Previously, they were too sad and did not pay attention to the people around them. Now that they looked around, they did not find any trace of the Golden Lion King. The first prince frowned. At this moment, a powerful being said, "Could it be that he left earlier than us? That's impossible. That's impossible. This place is sealed. Only I can lead you out. Even if the others teleported out earlier, they can only wait here." The first prince's eyes were gloomy. Then he said, "Come, follow me to the Grand Imperial Hall." The first prince's face was gloomy as he led these people to the Grand Imperial Hall. When they arrived at the Grand Imperial Hall, everyone looked at them with complicated expressions. The first prince snorted. His eyes were like lightning as he looked around. Then his frown deepened, because there was no trace of the Golden Lion King. What was going on? The Empress also stood up. "Mother, there was no trace of the Golden Lion King. Could it be that he did not come here?" Hearing this, everyone was surprised. What was going on? Could it be that the Golden Lion King disappeared? After hearing this, the Empress also frowned. The Golden Lion King did not appear here. Men, go and check the surroundings. See if there is any trace of the Golden Lion King. Soon, the guards in the palace came to report that there was no trace of the Golden Lion King. What was going on? Everyone was discussing. Could it be that the Golden Lion King felt that he had lost face and decided to stay here and leave? That was possible. After all, he was a peerless genius. He probably did not want to lose face. However, some people shook their heads and snorted. Impossible. A person like the Golden Lion King would definitely not leave so easily. He would definitely stay here and fight with Lin Xian until the end. Moreover, even if he left the palace, he would be detected by the experts guarding the palace. That was right. The Golden Lion King was so conceited and arrogant. How could he allow himself to be defeated? He would definitely challenge Lin Xian again. But now, the Golden Lion King had disappeared. What was going on? Let's wait for the eighth prince and the others to come out and ask Lin Xian. Everyone waited patiently. On the other side, the eighth prince and the others were also sent out. Then, they walked towards the Grand Imperial Hall. When the eighth prince and the others arrived at the Grand Imperial Hall, they attracted everyone's attention again. There was no other way. This was the future crown prince. If there was no accident, he would be the future ruler of the Tai dynasty. However, not everyone's gaze was friendly. At least the third prince and the first prince had a cold expression. Especially the first prince. His eyes were filled with killing intent. On the eighth prince's side, Lin Xian also frowned. He realized that many people were looking at him with a trace of doubt. Lin Xian was also very confused. What were these guys looking at? But at this time, the first prince stood up and pointed at Lin Xian. He shouted coldly, "Brat, let me ask you, where is your Golden Lion King?" As soon as he said this, the eighth prince and the others were puzzled. What did the Golden Lion King have to do with them? Lin Xian also sneered. Could it be that the first prince lost his mind because he lost? The Golden Lion King is someone you invited. What does it have to do with me? Why are you asking me? Chapter 2187. That's right, the Golden Lion King has nothing to do with me. The eighth prince also opened his mouth. The crown prince coldly snorted. What does it have to do with you? The Golden Lion King has already disappeared. And you still say that it has nothing to do with you? Brat, you were the one who fought with the Golden Lion King. And we don't know what happened in the end. Where did you take him? The moment he said that, everyone turned to look at Lin Xian. Even the Empress and the Emperor turned to look at him. There was no other way. The Golden Lion King was too important. If they lost him, they wouldn't be able to give an explanation to the war race. What's there to say? He lost, so I left. How would I know what happened next? Lin Xian sneered. I guess he lost and didn't have the face to stay here. Maybe he left the palace long ago. That's right, maybe he found a place to hide. He might even have left long ago. Duan Qingqing also said. Impossible. The crown prince coldly snorted. There was a record of anyone who left the palace. No one was an exception. No matter how strong the Golden Lion King was, it was impossible for him to leave the palace quietly. However, the experts guarding the palace didn't find any record of the Golden Lion King leaving. This meant that the Golden Lion King didn't leave at all. We have already searched the entire palace, but we didn't find the whereabouts of the Golden Lion King. Then tell me, where is he? The crown prince's gaze was like lightning as he stared at Lin Xian. The others were also discussing spiritedly. Some people even guessed that the Golden Lion King might still be in the space of the second stage. That's impossible. He is the crown prince's man. If the crown prince was teleported out, he must have been teleported out as well. That might not be the case. There was an exception. What's the situation? Someone asked. However, a royal elder said in a deep voice, Killed. The people who died in there wouldn't be teleported out. What? Killed? Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air as their scalps went numb. The Golden Lion King was killed? How is this possible? Who has the guts to kill the Golden Lion King? Everyone was stunned as they discussed spiritedly. The eighth prince's side was also shocked. Many people looked at Lin Xian. Even the eighth prince turned his head. Brother Lin, support the original version. Combat piracy. To be honest, he was also extremely shocked. Before this, he had never thought in this direction. That was because he knew that Lin Xian was a smart person. He naturally knew the consequences of killing the Golden Lion King. Therefore, he did not believe that Lin Xian had killed him. But now the Golden Lion King did not appear at all. And there was only one reason why it did not appear. Therefore, he was also very confused and could only look at Lin Xian. I don't know what you're talking about. Lin, she looked at the crown prince and coldly spoke. How strong was the war race's genius? How could he be killed by him? Or are you saying that you've been eliminated and have no chance of becoming the crown prince, and now you want to take revenge and frame me? You, the crown prince, was furious. The King Almighties on the first prince's side also stared at Lin Xian with killing intent in their eyes. The first prince sneered. Revenge? If I want to take revenge on you, I have plenty of ways. Any peerless Almighty would be able to kill you. Do you think I would use such a method? That might not be the case. Using a peerless Almighty would not be good for your reputation. If you use such a method, not only can you kill me, but you can also rope in the war race. Why not? Lin Xian sneered. At the side, the eighth prince also said in a deep voice, Boss, don't talk nonsense without evidence. Old 8, do you dare to lecture me now? The first prince was furious. As for the eighth prince, he coldly snorted. Why not? I'm the crown prince. You. The first prince was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. The word crown prince was like a sharp sword that pierced his heart, driving him crazy. Although he was the first prince and was the son of the empress, he was still just a prince. And now, the eighth prince opposite him had obtained the position of crown prince. He was the future ruler of the Tai dynasty, and his status was higher than his. However, he could not accept it. A little prince that he had previously stepped on was now stepping on his head. How could he accept this? However, the eighth prince sneered. Lin Xian is the genius that I invited, and now he has helped me obtain the position of crown prince. He is my benefactor. Whoever dares to slander him, don't blame me for being impolite. After saying this, the eighth prince's eyes turned gloomy as he looked around. Immediately, many King Realm experts shut their mouths, and they did not even dare to look at him. There was nothing they could do. The eighth prince's status was different now. Now, the eighth prince had obtained the final victory. He had obtained the position of crown prince and was about to become the real crown prince. And in the future, he would be the ruler of the Tai dynasty. He was someone who ruled the world. If they were to go against him now, they would be courting death. Therefore, many people were silent for a moment. However, the first prince's face was gloomy. The empress was also gritting her teeth. She realized that the Golden Lion King might really die in there. To him, this was absolutely shocking news, because the Golden Lion King was the genius of the war tribe that she had invited. If he was really killed here, she would not be able to explain it to the war tribe. Therefore, she turned around and looked at the emperor. The emperor's eyes flickered as he spoke in a deep voice. This matter must be investigated thoroughly. After all, the Golden Lion King's identity was very important. Therefore, he immediately sent a few elders into the space of the second stage. They were to find the whereabouts of the Golden Lion King. As for you, the emperor looked at Lin Xian. Stay in the palace for a few days. When the matter is clear, you can leave. All right, hurry up and take action. After saying that, the emperor waved his dragon robe and instantly turned into a flash of light, disappearing from the palace. On the other side, the empress coldly snorted, rolled up her phoenix robe, and left as well. The other elders of the royal family also gathered together to discuss how to enter the second stage and search. The remaining people also left one after another. When the third prince passed by Lin Xian and the eighth prince, he snorted coldly with a trace of schadenfreude in his eyes. The first prince glared at Lin Xian. Brat, the Golden Lion King is really dead. Even if you die 100 times, you won't be able to quell your anger. Ridiculous. Lin Xian snorted coldly, not bothering to reply. The eighth prince's face was gloomy. Then he said, Brother Lin, you can stay here for now. When the matter is clear, everything will be fine. Next, the eighth prince arranged for Lin Xian to stay in the palace. The others did not leave and stayed in another place. In the eighth prince's palace, although the eighth prince had won and was about to become the crown prince, their expressions were solemn. However, at that moment, these people's moods were somewhat heavy. They had never expected such a thing to happen. The Golden Lion King actually disappeared. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Although he looked calm on the surface, he was thinking quickly in his heart. Chapter 2188. He did not expect that the matter of the Golden Lion King would arouse suspicion so quickly. If those elders entered the space of the second stage, they would definitely be able to find clues. At that time, the news of the Golden Lion King's death would also spread. If that was the case, the forces led by the first prince would definitely not let him go. They might even capture him and send him to the war race for punishment. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's gaze turned gloomy. Although he was strong, he was not arrogant to the point that he could cause trouble in the Tai dynasty's palace. Among them, there were a bunch of powerful experts and even invincible kings. Although he was strong, he could not fight against so many people. However, if he forced his way in now, he could leave with the Black Earth when no one was paying attention. But then he would lose the baptism of the dragon aura. One must know that the reason why Lin Xian helped the eighth prince obtain the position of crown prince was because of the baptism of the dragon aura. But luckily he had a trick up his sleeve. He brought the remaining half of the Golden Lion King's corpse into the black earth, and it was now in his hands. When those people entered, they could only find the remnant aura and could not find the corpse. In other words, at most, they suspected him but did not have any evidence. However, this did not mean that these people would not make a move on him. How to deal with the time difference was still a problem. At the very least, he had to obtain the baptism of the dragon aura before leaving. While Lin Xian was thinking about how to escape, on the other side in the Empress Phoenix Palace, a group of strategists was also troubled. Among them, the first prince sat there with a gloomy face. He did not expect that the 8th prince would obtain the final victory. "Mother, what should we do?" The Empress's eyes flickered. She also did not expect the final result. Moreover, there was an even more troublesome matter in front of her. The Golden Lion King had gone missing. How was she going to explain this to the war race? However, at this moment, a tall and sturdy middle-aged man wearing red battle armor stood up. He said, "Sister, you don't have to worry. This matter may not be a bad thing for us." What did he say? The Empress looked at the middle-aged man in front of her and frowned. This person was her younger brother. He was very strong and was a powerful expert. "That's right, uncle. The Golden Lion King's position in the war race is extremely high." "That's right. Now that he's killed, the battle race's fury will definitely burn our side. Indeed, it will affect us. However, we are not the ones bearing the brunt of it. Don't forget that we were not the ones who killed the Golden Lion King." "You mean?" The Empress's eyes flickered. The burly middle-aged man sneered. "That's right, the 8th prince." Right now, the royal elders had already entered to search for the Golden Lion King. If they could find the corpse, that would be great. They could directly prove that it was the 8th prince's subordinate, Lin Xian, who killed the Golden Lion King. If they couldn't find the Golden Lion King's corpse, then it was fine, because they couldn't find the Golden Lion King anywhere. This meant that the other party was undoubtedly killed. It was to the extent where even the corpse was destroyed. This would make the war race even more furious. Therefore, no matter what, the murderer was Lin Xian. And Lin Xian was one of the 8th prince's men. We just need to instigate a bit of discord, and the battle race's anger will be directed at Lin Xian. It might even affect the 8th prince. If we let the 8th prince fight against the battle race, sister, think about it. What kind of scene would that be? I even think that the 8th prince might not even be able to become the crown prince in the end. Don't forget, the battle race is a legendary race. A prince who hasn't become the crown prince has completely offended such a race. How could our emperor let him become the crown prince? At that time, the 8th prince would be deposed. Then, the crown prince would naturally become the crown prince. Really? Hearing this, the empress was also happy. The crown prince was even more excited. Great, as long as he could kill the 8th prince, he would definitely be able to become the crown prince. But soon he frowned. "Uncle, although this method sounds good, it's very difficult to implement. The 8th prince is not an idiot. He won't foolishly go against the battle race. It doesn't matter. There are some things that he can't avoid even if he doesn't want to. After all, this matter is related to him. As long as the battle race's anger comes, the 8th prince will have no choice but to resist. Leave this matter to me." "All right, I'll leave it all to you." The empress nodded. After all, the middle-aged man in front of her was her younger brother and the crown prince's uncle. She believed that he would definitely help them. It was late at night. The 8th prince hadn't slept yet. Lin Xian wasn't sleeping either. He came to the 8th prince's study and knocked on the door. "Brother Lin, it's you." Seeing that it was Lin Xian, the 8th prince was surprised. He opened the door and let Lin Xian in. Then he asked, "It's so late, why are you looking for me?" "Don't worry, Brother Lin. Although this matter is a little strange, I won't let those people hurt you without evidence." Lin Xian smiled. Then he asked, "Crown Prince, I want to ask, how long will it take for the dragon energy baptism to start?" 3 days. 3 days later, you will be baptized by the dragon energy baptism. The eighth prince said. The eighth prince sighed. According to the previous rules, I will be baptized by the dragon energy baptism in 3 days. Then, within a year, I will worship the heavens and become the crown prince. Although there had been some unexpected incidents, the process shouldn't change. Don't worry, Brother Lin. You are my benefactor. Without you, I wouldn't be able to become the crown prince. 3 days. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It's not too late. However, he asked, how long will it take for the royal family elder to come back from the secondary space? It's hard to say. It depends on whether they can find the Golden Lion King or get some key clues. Brother Lin, what happened to the Golden Lion King? Why did he disappear? The eighth prince was also very confused. Lin Xian looked at the eighth prince with flickering eyes. Then he raised his hand and a formation covered the entire study. Brother Lin, you. Seeing this scene, the eighth prince was shocked. However, he wasn't too worried. He found that this was just a set of defensive needle techniques to prevent others from probing. Lin Xian took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, I have killed the Golden Lion King. What? Hearing this, the eighth prince's body trembled. His face was filled with shock. He couldn't believe it. What did you say? You killed the Golden Lion King? Shocking, he was too shocked. That was the Golden Lion King. It was incomparably terrifying. Even they didn't dare to offend it. After all, the war tribe was very mysterious, and the Golden Lion King was a genius of the war tribe. If he suffered any losses, the war tribe would probably go crazy. You didn't hear it wrong. I killed the Golden Lion King. There's no need to talk about the specific process. In short, this is the result. However, do you know what the consequences of killing the Golden Lion King will be? Chapter 2189. You didn't hear wrongly. I killed the Golden Lion King. There's no need to talk about the details. In short, this is the result. Lin Xian said. However, do you know what the consequences of killing the Golden Lion King will be? The eighth prince's face was pale. Until now, he still hasn't recovered. I naturally thought of the consequences. However, I have a reason to kill him. Lin Xian said. Eighth prince, I don't want to drag you down with me. However, I hope that you can help me. Tell me. The eighth prince took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Lin Xian said, I must participate in the baptism of dragon aura in 3 days. If the first prince and the others obstruct me, I hope that you can help me fight them. Don't worry. Once I get the aura of dragon aura, I will immediately leave the palace and announce it to the public. The Golden Lion King was called a war god by me. It has nothing to do with you. This way, it won't threaten your position as the crown prince. Brother Lin. Hearing this, the eighth prince was surprised. He didn't expect that Lin Xian would want to protect him. This was really out of his expectations. In the next moment, the eighth prince said, Brother Lin, what kind of person do you think I am? You helped me get the position of crown prince. I'm not that kind of person. Don't worry. I will definitely help you get the baptism of dragon aura in 3 days. Moreover, I will do my best to help you leave the palace safely. Although I can't fight against the war race directly, my status is different now. With my status as the crown prince, I can mobilize more resources to help you. At least, I can resist the first prince. Lin Xian and the eighth prince discussed for a while. Then they turned and left. After Lin Xian left, the eighth prince calmed himself down. After a while, he shouted coldly, Someone. Yes. A ghostly figure appeared in the air and appeared in the study. He half knelt on the ground and was very respectful. Didn't many elders come to visit these few days? Tell them that I will summon them tomorrow. Yes. The figure once again turned into green smoke and disappeared into the void of space. The eighth prince's eyes flickered. The war clan, the first prince, was truly a powerful force. It seems that I really need to contact a group of elders and princes. The next 2 days were very quiet. It was because everybody was waiting for the elders who had entered the secondary space to send back messages. However, for some reason, 2 days had passed and there was still no news. On the third day, the entire palace was bustling with activity. This was because today was the day that the baptism of the Tao of Dragons would begin. This was also the most exciting moment for all the powerful beings. The reason why they supported the princes at all costs, even putting their lives on the line, was for the sake of this final baptism of the Tao of Dragons. This was no ordinary Dragon Tao aura, but the Dragon Tao aura formed by the Tai dynasty's dragon vein. It contained incomparably mysterious and surging power. If they could receive the baptism of the Tao of Dragons, their strength and physique would definitely rise to a whole new level. Lin Xian was also extremely excited, because during this period of time, as he cultivated and absorbed the various natural treasures in his possession, he had already reached the late-stage 6-star king realm. However, it would be very difficult for him to rise further. This was because many people had spent hundreds or even thousands of years without making a breakthrough. From this, one could imagine how terrifying the amount of energy required to do so was. However, today was an opportunity. If he could receive the baptism of the Tao of Dragons and absorb the powerful energy inside, his strength and cultivation would definitely rise to a whole new level. It was even possible for him to take the opportunity to make a breakthrough. On a square in the palace, there were runes engraved all over, emitting a mysterious glow. At this moment, many princes had gathered there, as well as many powerful beings, kings, and geniuses. This was the place where the baptism of the Tao of Dragons would take place. The first prince, the third prince, the fourth prince, and the other princes were all there. The kings behind them were all very excited. Although they had failed, they could still receive the baptism of the Tao of Dragons. Of course, the only difference was the amount. The amount of Tao of Dragons obtained by those who succeeded would definitely be far greater than theirs. Moreover, the amount of Tao of Dragons obtained would be distributed according to merit. Whoever contributed the most in the battle for the position of Crown Prince would be able to claim the most Tao of Dragon Chi. Therefore, the group that enjoyed the most Tao of Dragons was naturally the kings around the 8th prince. Among the kings around the 8th prince, the one who enjoyed the most was naturally Lin Xian. It could not be helped because Lin Xian's contribution was too great. He had single-handedly turned the tide of the battle. Moreover, he had successfully eliminated the first prince, allowing the 8th prince to obtain the final victory. No one could compare to such a contribution. Therefore, he was naturally assigned to the first place, the Tao of Dragons. However, when Lin Xian wanted to take the first place, the first prince stepped out. He snorted coldly. He was still a very important suspect and was not qualified to receive the baptism of the Tao of Dragons. That's right, 8th prince. The others can, but not this kid. The 3rd prince also stepped out to stop him. As for the other princes, they were silent at the side. They did not participate in the battle. Firstly, they did not dare to offend the 8th prince. Secondly, they did not dare to offend the first prince. Therefore, it was better for them to watch the battle between the two of them. Not allowed? Why not? The 8th prince snorted coldly. He had already guessed that these people would stop him. Now, it seemed that it was not unexpected. He was a suspect in the murder of the Golden Lion King. Do you think he is qualified to enter? The 3rd prince sneered. The 8th prince said in a deep voice, "So what if he is a suspect? Is there a rule in the Tai dynasty that forbids suspects from receiving the baptism of the Tao of Dragons?" You are twisting words and forcing logic. The 3rd prince snorted coldly. The 8th prince was also angry. 3rd prince, watch your attitude. I am now the future crown prince. Humph. Support the original. Pirates must die. Hearing this, the 3rd prince was so angry that his face darkened. However, he did not dare to openly provoke the 8th prince anymore. After all, the 8th prince's status was different now. He was no longer on the same level as him, but above him. The third prince snorted coldly, waved his sleeve, and retreated. The first prince stepped out and sneered. What? You think you can show off after winning the second round? Don't forget that you are only the future crown prince, not the real crown prince. What's there to be arrogant about? In the end, it's not certain whether you will become the crown prince or not. Hearing this, the surrounding king realm experts were shocked. The princes also gasped. What did their boss mean? Could it be that he still had a chance to turn the tables? Everyone was stunned and could not believe it. Chapter 2190. Hearing this, the surrounding kings were shocked. The princes also gasped. What did their boss mean? Could it be that he still had a chance to turn the tables? Everyone was dumbfounded and could not believe it. Logically speaking, the first prince had lost and had no chance of becoming the crown prince. But now, the first prince's tone was so arrogant that he even dared to provoke the eighth prince. And what exactly was the trick behind all of this? They did not know. However, the eighth prince vaguely guessed it, and his face turned gloomy. Boss, I advise you not to play tricks behind our backs. You have no chance of becoming the crown prince. So, you'd better be a good prince. Otherwise, when the time comes for the conferment, you won't even be a king. The eighth prince's voice had a hint of coldness. After hearing this, the other princes felt their scalps go numb. Even the third prince's eyelids twitched. The eighth prince's words were laced with a strong threat. It seemed that the eighth prince was really angry. The other princes were also silent. They decided that they would not stand out and participate in the battle for the position of crown prince. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. The first prince flew into a rage. Threatening him? How dare he threaten him? He was about to go crazy with anger. Previously, when there was no crown prince, he had always been the boss and was above everyone else. Moreover, he was the son of the empress, so his status was higher than the other princes. Usually, no one dared to go against him. But now, the eighth prince, who had always been under his feet, dared to openly threaten him. This was intolerable. He was about to go crazy with anger. However, the mighty figure at the side quickly reminded the first prince not to move. First prince, there's still a long way to go. Let's think about it at length. Once the news from the secondary space comes back, we can contact the war tribe and take action. Humph. Let him be arrogant for 2 more days. I'll see how he dies then. The first prince snorted coldly. On the other side, the eighth prince withdrew his gaze and looked behind him. Brother Lin, please. Okay. Lin Xian nodded and took the lead to walk forward. Daoist Long, Duan Qingqing, and the others followed behind him. Apart from them, the first prince, the third prince, and all the other princes, as well as the king realm experts behind them, all walked forward and prepared to be baptized by the Tao of Dragon Aura. Lin Xian walked at the very front and came to the centermost area before sitting down with his legs crossed. The others had been sitting beside him, facing him from the inside out. The closer one got to the center, the denser and denser the Tao of Dragon Aura. The closer one got to the edge, the scarcer the aura of the Tao of Dragon became. These positions were determined based on battle merits and contributions. After the sequence was arranged, a few elders from the royal family walked out and quickly activated the array. The ground below trembled as dragon roars rang out. It was as if 10,000 dragons were roaring. Lin Xian's heart also trembled. He could feel a surge of energy surging up from the ground. It was as if a true dragon was rapidly awakening. What a powerful force! Lin Xian was shocked and overjoyed at the same time. This power was enough for him to break through. Without any hesitation, he used the Live Forever incantation to absorb the energy. The others were also overjoyed and absorbed the energy of the Tao of Dragon Aura. Dragon-shaped phantoms appeared on these people's bodies and quickly coiled around them. Lin Xian's was the most powerful. It was like a giant dragon coiling around his body. The other princes watched and waited at the side. This lasted for a day and a night. After a day and a night, the Tao of dragon aura disappeared. Everyone opened their eyes and were overjoyed. Some even broke through directly. Moreover, there were many of them. A powerful force tore through the void and rushed into the clouds. These people were all overjoyed. At this moment, whether it was the veteran powerhouses or the young geniuses, they all exclaimed. Lin Xian opened his eyes as well, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. However, the third prince sneered in the distance. What a piece of trash! After absorbing so much Tao of dragon aura, he still hasn't broken through. That's right. Although Lin Xian's aura was stronger than before, he hadn't broken through. This surprised many people. The third prince sneered in disdain. In his opinion, Lin Xian's talent wasn't very good. He didn't know why he was so powerful. Lin Xian ignored the puzzled gazes of these people. He quickly got up and came to the eighth prince's side. Then he said, "I'll go back first." The eighth prince was also puzzled. Why hadn't Lin Xian broken through? Even Duan Qingqing and Lu Fei had reached the peak of Six-Star King Realm. Lin Xian's aura was still at the late stage of Six-Star King Realm. Could it be that he was hiding his cultivation? But that shouldn't be the case. There was no way to hide one's cultivation when breaking through. The eighth prince couldn't figure it out. However, Lin Xian had already left. He returned to his residence, opened the array, and sealed the room. Then he entered the black earth. "Help me look outside. I'm going to break through." Lin Xian instructed and sat down cross-legged. He wasn't a piece of trash. It wasn't that he hadn't broken through. He had suppressed it. Lin Xian didn't want to break through in front of everyone because the dragon aura he had absorbed this time was too powerful. If it weren't for the mysterious longevity art, he wouldn't have been able to suppress it at all. So now he released his power. Instantly, a powerful aura swept out. Fortunately, the black earth was incomparably powerful. Even an invincible almighty couldn't break it. Therefore, although Lin Xian's breakthrough was terrifying, it couldn't affect the black earth. Half a day later, an extremely terrifying aura surged from Lin Xian's body. He opened his eyes, and his gaze instantly pierced through the void. At the side, the Crimson Dragon also exclaimed, "Kid, you've broken through and become an almighty." That's right. Lin Xian had broken through. From the late stage of Six-Star King Realm, he had directly broken through to Seven-Star King Realm. This definitely surpassed the breakthrough of everyone outside. If news of this spread out, it would definitely shock the group of people outside to death. Seven-Star King Realm, which was the almighty realm. Lin Xian had finally stepped into this realm. Not only had his cultivation broken through, but his strength had also increased exponentially. In the past, when he was a Six-Star King, he already had the combat strength of a peak almighty. Now that he had broken through to the almighty realm, his combat strength had definitely reached the level of a peerless almighty. Ordinary almighties wouldn't be able to withstand a single move from him. Even peak almighties weren't his match. Only peerless almighties could contend with him now. Great! With a breakthrough in strength, it should be easier to deal with the war race in the future. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. His current combat strength was still at the level of a peerless almighty. Even if he faced the war race, he wouldn't be afraid. Moreover, he still had a trump card, which was the Heaven-grade treasure sword. Chapter 2191. His current battle prowess was still at the level of a peerless almighty. Even if he faced the war race, he would not be afraid. Moreover, he still had a trump card, and that was the Heaven-tier treasure sword. During this period of time, Lin Xian had the Crimson Dragon research a set of formations. that was to seal the power of the Heaven-tier treasure sword as long as it was sharp. Under normal circumstances, using the Heaven-tier treasure sword would take away half of Lin Xian's energy. Even if he broke through now, he would not be able to use it too many times. However, if he sealed the power of the Heaven-tier ancient sword, it would not absorb so much energy. However, the material and sharpness of the Heaven-tier treasure sword would be preserved. It would definitely be a divine weapon. It was most suitable for Lin Xian to use now. The Crimson Dragon thought for a few days and finally came up with a formation. Therefore, he sealed the Heaven-tier ancient sword again. This process lasted for another day. All right, kid, you can use it now. Its sharpness definitely surpasses that of an Earth-tier treasure. Moreover, you don't need to consume too much energy now. Of course, its power cannot be compared to a true Heaven-tier treasure sword, but it can definitely crush an Earth-tier treasure. Also, if it really doesn't work, you can undo the seal when you are in danger and display the power of the treasure sword. However, you can use it as a trump card. That's great. Lin Xian was delighted. He had one more trump card. To be honest, although the war race was powerful, Lin Xian was not afraid. After all, he had many cards in his hand. As long as he was not surrounded by many peerless experts, he could deal with them. In the next moment, Lin Xian took out a few mid-grade Earth-tier treasures and threw them into the air. Then he waved the Heaven-tier ancient sword. Buzz! Caw-caw! With a swing of the sword, those mid-grade Earth-tier treasures were directly cut in half. So sharp! Lin Xian was shocked. He took out another high-grade Earth-tier treasure and found that it was also cut in half. Only a peak Earth-tier treasure could contend against it. However, after being hit so many times, cracks appeared on it. Great! With this divine weapon, Lin Xian's battle prowess increased again. After absorbing the Tao of Dragon Aura and becoming a powerful being, Lin Xian decided to leave. But the only pity was that he hadn't investigated much about the nest of 10,000 dragons. At the very least, he knew that the nest of 10,000 dragons wasn't in the Tai dynasty. However, he had to leave the palace first. Once he was outside, he would think of a way. Lin Xian left as soon as he said so. He did not intend to delay. He exited the Black Earth and decided to bid farewell to the 8th prince. However, just as Lin Xian was halfway there, a low and melodious bell rang out from the imperial palace. Like muffled thunder, it spread throughout the entire imperial palace. Dong! Dong dong! At this moment, all the powerful cultivators in the palace opened their eyes. In particular, the expressions of the royal family elders changed. Oh no, something big has happened. Hurry to the grand imperial hall. The loud sound of the bell shocked everyone in the imperial palace. Many figures soared into the sky and turned into rainbows, flying towards the grand imperial hall. At this moment, not only the royal family elders, but even the princes and the king realm experts around them rushed over. At the same time, they were discussing what would happen at this time. Needless to say, it must be news from the secondary space. Do you mean news about the Golden Lion King? It must be. Moreover, it wasn't good news. Otherwise, it wouldn't have activated the Celestial Emperor Bell, which was only activated during major events. Could it be that something had happened to the Golden Lion King? Thinking of this, everyone's scalps went numb. Let's go and take a look. While discussing this, they sped up. Lin Xian also frowned. He could naturally guess that this matter should be related to the Golden Lion King. However, it was too much of a coincidence. Just as he was about to leave, the news came back. Oh, isn't this Prodigy Lin? Why is he still standing here? Behind him, a sneer came. Lin Xian frowned and turned around, only to find that it was the 3rd prince flying over with his men. Prodigy Lin, the news of the Golden Lion King has come back. Don't you want to hear it? Humph. Lin Xian coldly snorted. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. The 3rd prince sneered. I advise you to obediently go and listen. However, don't think about escaping. The entire imperial city is under martial law now. Even peerless powerhouses can't escape, not to mention you. Ha! Speaking of this, the third prince laughed wildly. A trace of malevolence appeared in his eyes. Then he waved his hand and quickly left with his men. Looking at the third prince's back, Lin Xian's face was gloomy and his eyes flickered. However, the third prince also warned him not to go to the Grand Imperial Hall. Thinking about it, with the divine abilities of the royal family elders, they should be able to determine that the Golden Lion King was killed. If he went now, he would be walking into a trap. In the Grand Imperial Hall, there were no less than 10 peerless powerhouses, maybe even more. If the sage came, then he and Lin Xian would have no chance of escaping. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to leave the imperial palace immediately. He originally wanted to say goodbye to the 8th prince, but now it seemed that he didn't have the chance. Whoosh! In the next moment, Lin Xian's figure flickered and flew into the distance. At the same time, he secretly sent a voice transmission to the Crimson Dragon, telling him to be ready at all times. Because there must be a powerful array formation in the imperial palace for defense. When the time came, he would have to break the array formation. Just as Lin Xian was about to leave the imperial palace, on the other side, the Grand Imperial Hall was already crowded with people. The imperial elders, powerhouses, peerless geniuses, and princes were all gathered in the hall. The empress and the sage were also there. In front of the hall stood 3 elders with gloomy and solemn expressions. They were the 3 people who went to the secondary space to look for the Golden Lion King. At this moment, they had returned and brought back news. However, it wasn't good news. Everyone could guess a thing or two from the expressions of these people. However, they still couldn't be sure. At this moment, Imperial Elder asked, "What's the situation?" "Yes, we're all here. Please tell us, Elder." A burly middle-aged man in battle armor said in a clear voice. He was really the first prince's uncle. The 3 elders looked around, then turned around and looked forward. "Your Majesty, the matter has been investigated. Speak." The sage nodded and said in a deep voice. The 3 elders looked at each other, and the oldest of them walked out and said in a deep voice, "We've arrived at the place where the Golden Lion King and Lin Xian had their final battle. We didn't find a corpse there." No corpse. Hearing this, many people heaved a sigh of relief. On the other hand, the first prince frowned. What's going on? Could it be that the Golden Lion King isn't dead? This was completely different from what they had expected. Could it be that their plan was going to be ruined? Chapter 2192. However, the elder at the front said again, although they did not find the corpse, they could tell from the blood on the scene and the remaining aura. The Golden Lion King should have been killed. In fact, even their corpses were gone. What? The Golden Lion King was killed. Not even his bones remained. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. This news was like a bolt from the blue, making them dizzy. Those powerful figures swallowed their saliva, and the surrounding princes were also extremely shocked. Killed. He was really killed. The third prince was also shocked. However, a sinister smile soon appeared on his face. That's great. That brat is definitely dead. He killed the Golden Lion King. The war tribe will definitely not let him go. On the first prince's side, a pleased smile appeared on his face. This was great. Things went according to plan. The Golden Lion King was killed. Next, they only needed to capture Lin Xian. That would be enough. At that time, they would sow discord between the war tribe and the 8th prince. After using the war tribe to kill the 8th prince, he would become the crown prince. The 8th prince's face was cold and his eyes were serious. He had known about this news for a long time. However, he did not expect the whole world to know about it so quickly. Behind him, Daoist Long, Lord of the Underworld, Duan Qingqing and other experts gasped. They were extremely shocked. It couldn't be. Lin Xian really killed the Golden Lion King? This guy was too crazy. Discussions broke out one after another. However, at this moment, the first prince stood out. He pointed to the right side of the hall and shouted coldly, "Eighth prince, where is Lin Xian? Hand him over. Hand him over, and hand him over to the war tribe." How audacious! How reckless! He even dared to kill a genius of the war tribe. He must be tired of living. Cold shouts could be heard. The people on the first prince's side were aggressive and wanted to force the eighth prince. Actually, it was not just the first prince. At this moment, everyone in the Grand Imperial Hall was looking at the eighth prince. Not only the elders and experts of the royal family, but even the empress and the emperor were looking over. Daoist Long, Duan Qingqing, and the others looked anxious. Were they really going to hand Lin Xian over? If that happened, Lin Xian would definitely die. The eighth prince was also bewildered. He didn't know if Lin Xian had left or not. However, he was now praying that they wouldn't come to the Grand Imperial Hall. If they came, they would die without a doubt. If he hadn't come, the situation might have taken a turn for the better. Seeing the eighth prince remain silent, the first prince coldly snorted again. "Old eighth, stop struggling. Hurry up and hand over Lin Xian." "What? Could it be that you want to protect this murderer?" "Yes, hand over Lin Xian. Eighth prince, don't hesitate. This person is the war clan's mortal enemy. If we protect him, it might cause the war clan to be dissatisfied." Sounds of discussion could be heard. The eighth prince coldly snorted, "I did not see Lin Xian." "Didn't see it? How could this be? Lin Xian is one of your people." The first prince sneered. "Boss, now that the battle for the position of crown prince has ended, it is up to Lin Xian to decide whether to stay or leave." "I don't know, it's normal." The eighth prince also snorted. However, at this time, the third prince stood out and sneered. "It can't be, I saw that kid on the way here." However, that kid's expression didn't look too good. Perhaps he knew that the matter of him killing the Golden Lion King was exposed. Right now, he might be secretly trying to escape somewhere. What? Lin Xian wants to escape. Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. They searched the entire Grand Imperial Hall and found that there was no sign of Lin Xian. However, the third prince smiled again. "Don't worry, the palace is already under martial law. Even a supreme expert can't escape, let alone that kid. Martial law is already under martial law." Those experts were shocked. The imperial elders were also silent. Martial law is indeed under martial law. It is impossible for that kid to escape. Boom! Support the original. Just as the third prince finished speaking, an earth-shattering explosion came from afar. It was as if 100,000 golden lightning bolts had descended. Then the entire palace shook violently. Even the Grand Imperial Hall was shaking as if there was an earthquake. What's going on? Someone is attacking the palace. Everyone's expression changed. The imperial elders and the princes were also shocked. They had never seen such a thing in their lives. This is the palace. Who dares to behave atrociously here? The emperor's face darkened. He shouted coldly, and a majestic force surged out. Instantly, the Grand Imperial Hall was stabilized. Not only that, but the entire palace was also under the control of a supreme expert, preventing the palace from shaking. However, the explosions outside were still going on. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. The first prince and the others rushed out of the Grand Imperial Hall and looked into the distance. The remaining people also followed him out one after another. In the distance, several figures flew over and landed quickly. They knelt on one knee and cupped their fists. The defensive array formation had been destroyed, and that brat Lin Xian had escaped. What? Lin Xian escaped? Everyone was stunned. Although the guard's voice wasn't loud, it was like a clap of thunder that exploded in their minds. Everyone was stunned. especially the third prince and the first prince. They were dumbstruck. They had previously said that even a supreme expert couldn't escape. That kid had no chance of escaping. But now he had escaped in the blink of an eye. This was a slap to their faces in public. Moreover, they were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Damn it, how is this possible? How is this possible? How could that kid escape? The third prince was about to go crazy. This was completely beyond his understanding. Could it be that the other party was a supreme expert? Or was someone secretly helping him? The eighth prince was also shocked. Although he also hoped that Lin Xian would leave quickly, he was still shocked. When he heard the news, he was also shocked. It would appear that Lin Xian had not left stealthily. Instead, he had forcibly broken through the spirit formation's defenses before leaving. That was the imperial palace's array. Even a supreme expert couldn't break it. How did he do it? Damn it, chase him. Chase him. We have to catch that kid. The first prince was so angry that he stomped his feet. Immediately, many experts soared into the sky. The Empress's gaze also focused as she secretly signaled with her eyes. A few of the royal elders who supported the first prince stood out. Their expressions were cold as they quickly flew into the sky. They formed hand seals with their palms, and huge palms that covered the sky appeared in the sky. They covered a radius of tens of thousands of miles and quickly enveloped the area. The supreme experts had attacked, and there were 3 of them. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that they were really going to make a move. However, in the next moment, they were stunned. That was because the expressions of the 3 supreme experts changed, and they retracted their palms. In the sky, the huge palms that covered tens of thousands of miles collapsed into pieces. They were shattered. How was that possible? These people were all crazy. That was a peerless, almighty figure. Moreover, 3 supreme experts had attacked at the same time. How could Lin Xian resist them? You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.